You wake up in the morning and order milk and bread from a quick commerce app. Within 10 minutes, it reaches your doorstep.
Your order, sir. Thank you.
Now, most people look at that and think, okay, an order was delivered. But behind that one small order, hundreds of decisions were already made in seconds. Which warehouse should process your order? Was the product already in stock? Where exactly was it placed inside the warehouse? Or even which delivery partner was closest to your location? And now, AI is helping companies make many of these decisions automatically. That is the world of supply chain management. In fact, global businesses lose billions of dollars every year because of supply chain disruptions, delayed deliveries, poor inventory management, and inaccurate forecasting. And because of that, companies today are heavily investing in AI driven supply chain systems to improve speed, accuracy, and efficiency. That is exactly why SCM has become one of the most important business functions in the modern world. And in this course, we are going to understand it in the most practical and interesting way possible. This is not going to be one of those courses where you only memorize definitions and theories. Instead, we will break down concepts using real business examples, warehouse operations, quick commerce models, logistic systems, and AI powered use cases. And by the end of this course, you will not just understand SCM, you will understand how modern businesses actually function behind the scenes.
Okay, so now let's talk about supply chain in overall level. What is a future of supply chain with the Gen AI, Agentic AI, right? So I'm going to mix these two worlds. Okay, so let's get started. Let's try to understand this, which is a very common question someone can ask. And even when you go and try to switch in this domain, it can be a simple question in the interview that what is supply chain in today's time? If you're just moving things around, that's also supply chain. If you take supply chain, the end guy is most important. And what is name for that guy is customer. Everything in supply chain is driven by customer. I'll start with customer, okay? So how many of you guys have seen this silver and gold? Let's focus on silver because gold is gold. Have you seen the silver rally happening, right? So when I say silver, the stock prices have skyrocketed. I'm not talking about any stock marketing here, but it's part of supply chain. That's why I'm taking this very relevant example. So stock prices has skyrocketed. Why has it been? Because in the textbook, you will learn supply chain like a fundamental concept. But when you learn from the environment or the surrounding and the events happening in the world, and I say world, the global part of the whole thing, right? The whole world, then you will understand supply chain like anything. What happened to silver, which was 70 rupees per gram, so INR, and I think if I'm not wrong, it has gone to like what? Some 300 something per gram, guys. What happened? This price has jumped because of one fundamental thing. Customer can be big companies as well. Government entities are also can be customer. Anybody who's purchasing is a customer, right? So demand and supply. These are the only two things determine the price of any commodity, any unit, any item, any product. Everybody agrees on this basic principle of supply chain: demand and supply, demand and supply, demand and supply. That's it, nothing else. You don't need to go beyond it. Okay. I'll tell you what has happened to silver. In short, I don't want to digress and get into like, oh, I am trying to teach you stock marketing and metal marketing. No. What has happened to silver? Silver has become very less available suddenly. Okay. The reason it has been created like a artificial or government and international players creating a artificial scarcity of silver. So silver demand has not genuinely increased because somebody using silver for ornaments, making EV batteries, right? Or using in those industries. No, people have started hoarding silver. It's another way of saying that when something happens to onions, right? Or when something happens to salt, and suddenly the salt and onions are out of the market, right? Or the tomatoes recently happened with tomatoes, right? Suddenly you see that the same vegetables or these guys suddenly price have multiplied like 5 times, 10 times. That's called artificial shortage of any commodity. If you are following the global news, Chinese have regulated it. They are saying they will not give silver to anybody. Have you read this news? It's a big article. So silver, they are trying to control most of the silver in the world, and they have said that I'll not give it to a lot of people. So definitely the market is seeing a scarcity of anything, and it has nothing to do with agentic AI or Gen AI. It is all as simple as that. Plan, source, make, store, deliver. Okay, when you will deliver this is the last stage on it. When you will are going to deliver. If someone is asking for, then he will gonna do through all these steps to get it, right? Agree? If I'm not asking that product, will you plan? Will you source? Right? I think there is a problem here. So actually the first step is like, that he will not do it, right? If I'm not asking for, let's say, silver, someone is going to go and do the mining, get the silver out, make ornaments, store it and deliver it. Will it ever happen? No. So demand is the ultimate thing. Okay. Demand is the ultimate thing for any supply chain use cases. We also say that everything in supply chain is demand driven. Okay. Now, what happens in scenario like what I have just taken the silver rally? If the stock prices is for silver is skyrocketing, the reason is that there is a lot of demand, which market is saying, and supply is less. So obviously prices will increase. Okay. Now, why are we here today? Okay. We are here to understand a little bit more about supply chain and at the same time how we can use the world of AI, which is now pivoted into Gen AI, Agentic AI in supply chain. Okay. Supply chain is one of the biggest, you can say, the adopter of Gen AI and Agentic AI. And I can see from close quarters, and I have seen it that people are using Gen AI, Agentic AI in supply chain. And I'm going to talk about it as we reach there. But in supply chain overall journey, right, when you demand something, I'll take a simple example. Okay. And it's so interesting. Everybody has seen Zepto or Blinkit. So I'm based out of Karnataka, Bangalore, if it is okay to say here that I'm part of Karnataka, based out of Bangalore, right? Karnataka map, if I see, and I'm in South Karnataka, electronic city. If someone is from Bangalore, special hi to them. So I'm part of Bangalore. This is where I live, right? I'll talk about a nice upcoming supply chain use cases, and it's so dynamic in the nature. It's very difficult problem to solve. Let's say this is my area, okay? I'm going to take the use case of Zepto. Since my wife also orders on Blinkit, I'll also mention that, right? There's no point being biased to one of these guys, right? And Amazon now as well these days. Okay, any of these guys, they are running a business called, it has a separate category in supply chain, quick commerce. Okay, although it's a more like a e-commerce, it's quick commerce. What is the reason for calling it quick? Because generally the delivery time is very less. That's the reason. So you want that in whatever, like I would say like 10 to 30 minutes effectively. It's called quick commerce. Now let's understand and take this as a case study. Okay, right? Suppose I want you guys to open a quick commerce business, right? Tell me I'll take two category one by one. So first thing is warehousing, excuse me, and I'll put a parallel pillar here, logistics. So guys, logistics means transport or flow of goods from point to A to B. Someone mentioned that, that's your delivery part of it. You can also say logistics or delivery. That's why you have delivery guys coming here, Although I have a different take to it, but we'll come to that. We could have delivered ambulances in less than 10-15 minutes so that cardiac arrest could have been treated in time. Okay. But come here and tell me, if you are doing a quick commerce, what is the first thing? And always keep this image in your mind. So this is your territory. I have defined the territory, my dear. So I'll blow it up a little bit on the screen. This is your area of offering. So that's where you will deliver. What is the first thing, if you think from this quick commerce angle with respect to warehousing, what are the things you will consider, you have to plan for? Let's discuss that. Okay. Dark store, it's a terminology for, small warehouses, right? And there is a size as well defined to it. It will not be more than, I would say 1,000 to small warehouses spawning over 1,000 to 3,000 square feet, right? It's not like a big warehouse, right? In thousands of square feet. It's like a tiny mini warehouse, right? Okay. It has to be close to customer, right? So basically you're saying that I cannot put the mini warehouse or dark store in Janagar or middle of the Bangalore if I am to cater to the South Bangalore, right? Makes sense. Okay. So, warehousing, dark store close to customer. What else? Inventory. Okay. So warehousing also talks about inventory management, right? Isn't it? And those who have no idea about these things, I'll talk about it. So inventory management has everything, right? How much your starting inventory, how much your safety stock, how much your cycles, all those concepts will come. I'm not getting to the technicality of the things, right? Okay. So anything else? I have not gotten anything beyond this. So dark store dark store characteristic is near to be the customer, makes sense, inventory. But if I'm living in electronic city, which is already an urban center of the city, I cannot go and put a dark store like 20 kilometers apart. Okay, think about it. So urbanization versus rural warehouses will not work here. Okay, think about it and give it some more time. You don't need to answer me in 1 second. Okay, you have some time on your side. Pack. This is a terminology. Are you aware of it? On the screen, you see pick, pack, put, or how do you want to put in the sequence? Suppose, just imagine this. If I am a guy who's ordering on, let's say Zepto, I have put some items in my app, I have placed an order. This order will go to the nearest dark warehouse, dark store, and someone has to pack the order for you, right? So not pick, pack, put, it's like pick, pack, deliver, right? So obviously the delivery part I'm not worried about. I'm only focused on the pick and pack. Isn't it? Someone has to pick, someone has to pack. That's something going to decide the speed of delivery, which is interlinked to the delivery part, but it is part of the warehousing activity. So are you aware of pick pack strategies in warehouse? What is the pick pack thing? Picking the order items and packing them for dispatch. Okay. But that's the process of pick pack. I'm only focused on that part, pick and pack. What are the strategies on this? When you say pick pack has a lot of activities in it, I'll just try to articulate a little bit. I'll give you some example of it. There will always so since we are talking about pick pack strategy, let's take one at a time so that we don't get confused. Pick pack is even beyond, it has a big detailing to it. I'll try to articulate. If you think about, and if you get a chance, please request the guys to go to the quick commerce dark stores. You will see that it is very congested, given that size is small. Shelves are limited, right? At the same time, you will not be able to have so many people inside the mini warehouse, right? That dark store. Agree? Because if you see the first 2 points, you need a small dark store. Obviously, it cannot be bigger than like a big flat, right? You can have multiple shelves to keep the items, but it has to be strategically placed, and there cannot be a lot of people to go and pick for the orders, right? The whole problem in pick pack strategy is the time, isn't it? So when you're trying to do quick commerce, idea is to move items, talk and write. So to move items from shelves, which he mentioned SKUs, so shelves like racks, if you have seen racks in college, to delivery bags. The whole intention is to, and I'll give you a time to it because I have worked on these kind of things, in a minute. You know how much time they get to get the order ready? It's like pizza delivery. Do you see this timeline? A minute they get. So when I bring this time angle to it, then you feel the pressure, right? Suppose I'll give you an order. So this is my order list, right? I need, let's say paneer, maybe 200 grams. And paneer is not like any paneer. I'll say I need milky mist. So guys, in Bangalore, it's what we order. I also need like Nandini, cream milk. Let's say 1 liter. So those who know that cream milk comes in orange packet, generally that's the code. Okay. And then maybe 3, 4, 5 more items, right? Let's say this goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 8 items I have ordered, right? Not like the whole shop. Now, just try to take it slowly and think about it. This whole thing, someone has to take it and put it into a bag in almost a minute or 90 seconds. Okay. So do you think that strategy is really important? I missed to write aim is to move. Aim is to move. That's the aim. Do you think strategy is really going to be important? Or you think just I will have a lot of people? Then I'll question you that how can you have so many people? You don't have a space for it. So then strategy comes into the picture. One of the most important strategy is batch picking. In the quick commerce, typical warehousing picking strategy. So I'll write so that, we conclude this concept. Instead of picking one order at a time. So, right, there can be two strategies that I can pick one order, I take the order, I go through the whole, different zones within that quick commerce space, that warehouse, and then try to fulfill the order. Versus you take one staff, so one delivery guys, one pickup guys can pick up multiple orders at the same time so that he can get you those items in lesser time. I'll tell you how it will happen. Suppose it's the morning time, okay, and that's where strategy comes so handy. It's very evident someone will be, buying Mortin or All Out. Think logically, buying Mortin, All Out versus milk, bread, eggs, maybe paneer. What is the chances of buying All Out, Mortin, Surf, like a top load, front load versus milk, paneer, eggs, bread in morning time? You tell me. Which one has more probability of getting an order placed in the categories? I'm talking about categories now. Think about it. Right? You will be looking for milk because everybody in India wakes up and have cup of tea, coffee. Kids like cornflakes, right? And chocos, right? Bread is needed for omelette. Bread is needed for multiple times, right? So now orders coming in masses. Definitely in their system, there are systems which will sort these items across the orders. So now I'm the guy who wants to pick, let's say, milk, bread, egg, paneer. These four items. I own these four items, my dear. Only these four items I'm responsible for. So rather than taking Avinav orders, right, or Naresh's order or Vishal's order, if they all have ordered Nandini milk or egg, and doesn't matter which egg, which variant of milk, because all these guys are already stocking, right? They have already stocked it. And I'll talk about stocking strategy as well. But rather than going one item, one order at a time, or one order across item, which one is more efficient if I own certain section? So breakfast, these, dairy product is my section, and obviously adding eggs to it, which is non-dairy. Which one do you think more efficient? Looks like efficient. Obviously, you have to do and see. In business, everybody does these things and then they understand what's happening. If I go and take care of all these four items I just mentioned across the orders, and someone gives me that as a sorted thing, that, oh, dude, you go and fetch 10 packets of Nandi milk, right? Maybe 6 carats of half a dozen eggs, right? And maybe 1 kg of paneer, 5 packs of 200 grams, and that list comes as me. And there's the other guy who ensures that the right item goes in the right delivery bag. And you know what? Every delivery bag, they have a, so once they get the order, they put the order ID, right? And they know that they are not going to, misplace it. But the only good thing is that you can only visualize from here in your head, because this is an example I have strategically taken, because more or less in India, everybody is using any, more or less. Like, I know not in like villages and all, but tier one, tier two, even in my native town, North India, people are ordering on Blinkit and all. Okay. Instead of picking one order at a time, staff pick multiple orders at once, which is efficient for high velocity. This is a supply chain warehousing strategy, guys, for high velocity and small sized orders. Completely fits the bill, right? Nobody's going to order like, 100 paneer bags, right? Right? Small size order and high velocity, because they need it like what? So they have already put all the paneer lavabdar masala is ready and paneer is missing. It has happened with us, right? So this is the world. Welcome to this part of the world. So high velocity and small size orders. This is batch picking is one of the most used strategy in quick commerce. Okay. But if I do batch picking, do you really think that batch picking is just one strategy and it will work? We have to ensure that all these items, which I, again, going back to my example, the breakfast items I mentioned, just for the sake of understanding, do you really think that the position in the warehouse of these items, so I'll draw a like nice square box just to show you this is the warehouse, right? Now, this is the entry of the warehouse. Let's say that that's how you are enter the warehouse, and it's like a little long land parcel. What do you think? Where should I put? So every line is like a shelf here. Think like a grid, okay? I'll just, obviously there will be, so I'm not designing the warehouse, so let's not get into it. But do you really think that here I'll put my, these breakfast item, or here you will put this breakfast item? You tell me, or somewhere here, at least in the first two, rows. So I'm talking about those items, again, writing on the top: milk, bread, eggs. This is your entry point. This is where you want to go and pick things. Okay. There cannot be multiple entry points to the dark warehouse. There is a reason for it. We'll talk about it. But do you think where should be the positioning of these items? That's called high velocity items. So planogram has a big role to play. So I don't know how many of you guys have ever observed, but if you have not observed so far, I request you next time you walk into a store, please observe the design of that store. I'm not talking about dark store, because you never get a chance unless until you know someone and you have worked there. But if you open to any going to in a supermarket, hypermarket, right, you will see that there are a lot of aisles. They call aisles, AISLE, and there is a planogram layout. And trust me, as a supply chain warehouse folks, we spend hours and hours to bring strategy like this. Shelf arrangement, planogram design takes care of a lot of things. What you should place, how many cases, how many quantity, are you going to place it, in the front, in the back? What should be the height, so that where you can put what, so that if you're trying to put chocolate, let me ask you that. You go and observe. It's a very funny thing. Do you think you'll put chocolate like here? And I'll ask a very simple question. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's to everybody here. Are you going to put like a Cadbury dry and fruit chocolate on the highest rack? You will never do that. You know why? Kids are going to be the biggest consumer of chocolate. You take it today, you take it after 100 years. Kids are the guys who consume the chocolate the most. If kids are average height is like 3 feet or 4 feet, you can't put chocolate at 6 feet height, right? So that's why these things will also decide that your picking is optimized. Agree? So whether you put in the first two rows or you put it in the last, you put it at what height. And again, going back to points, that there are some rules that you can't mix things. You can't put detergent with milk, right? Or you can't put like acids and harpic and put it near to the food items. So there are legal rights around it. I don't know in India, so you cannot put alcohols in a hypermarket. But I was in US and I was in Walmart. You can also put beer cans and other stuff in a store, and there are different sections for it. And I will request you guys to read about a nice use case about Walmart's use case. I don't know if your professor would have talked about it. Walmart use case on diaper storage, diaper beer storage. Are you aware of this? It's a big case study how data science can help you. This is another how do you put things can drive the sales for your store. It's amazing thing. But I don't know, again, because supply chain can be little so connected that you will lose the track if we talk about everything all at once. I don't want to do that. So coming back to that picking strategies, item level velocity slotting. So in simple English, fast movers, which is in simple English, items which are selling fast. It's a supply chain term, fast movers, or items which are selling fast, have to be very close to the entry. So basically the, first or second shelf, right? You don't go and, I don't know how many of you guys are aware of or not. Even in a small shop, milk items, they generally put it outside the store, because go and come and take it. Don't bother us. And obviously at a lower height. You'll not put it on like a rice. So you'll not put it here, right? You'll put it at a lower height, and also on the display. I think milk doesn't need to be displayed. Have you ever observed? Because milk is something, is a necessity. Nobody needs to be lured to buy milk, okay, unless until it's a marketing thing. Okay. Now, where I can use supply chain on this with Gen AI or AI, little bit of AI, how do you know which are going to be the fast mover? Can you think of AI use case? And then I'll slowly get into Gen AI. How will you go and identify who is going to be a fast mover or is a fast mover? How will you find it? Okay. Have you heard about SQ segmentation? That's a use case. In supply chain, it's a big use case. SQ segmentation or segmentation of items. Just to give you some hints, those who know supply chain here, have you heard about ABC classification or XYZ classification? These are statistical, or you can say statistics based thing, but now we are also using AI based segmentation. I'll talk about it in a moment. Now I'm little bit taking this example and taking fast mover and breaking off from the picking strategy, because picking strategy also interlinks your inventory management. Inventory management is the big area where SQ segmentation helps you to do it. So rather than in a very rudimentary way, you are managing your items at your site. When I say site, as in like dark store, you decide it statistically. So I want to understand who knows about it, or you can also use AI based. So this is all statistically. So now let's say I give you more levers to it. How will you decide which strategy I have to use? Right? You rather sell $1 or 1 or 5 rupees margin product versus 100 rupees margin product, right? Even if you are selling less, volume becomes irrelevant there, right? One biggest example of the guys who play on margin in tech world is which one? Which is the biggest giant company which plays on margin, and they are the tech leader in the world, Apple. Apple completely plays on margin, guys. The volume has never been the Amazon plays on volume. Amazon does not play on margin. So obviously Amazon, when they are putting a lot of sellers, they're just taking a little margin from them. So it's not they are the biggest margin player. If you sell on Amazon, they'll not take all your margin. But anyway, I'll come to that. But what I'm trying to show is nice image, and statistically you can create this SQ classification map. Okay. Do you see these 4 quadrants? What does it explains is that if you have an item which is having high demand, so this is where you get high demand, and this is your having high volume, and this is your high demand variability, not high demand. Focus on the word variability. So if I say there is a sales data by item, let's see what you understand in supply chain. So you have a sales data, and that's how a sales data look like. You will have right sale order, right? You have right? So you have in this data set, you have order ID, you have a standard, right? Order quantity, right? Order price. So you will have a lot of these things related to it, SKU, SKU dimension, blah, blah, blah. And then finally some of those items, right? When you need the order date and all. So related to dates. I'm not getting you into the everything of it, but let's say this is the order data which you are seeing. How will you find that a certain SKU, listen to my question very carefully, a certain SKU is having high demand variability? How will you find it? It's a typical supply chain question. So now this is your whole data, and you have all the SKUs information here. Like think like you are the Apple, okay? And I'm only talking about, let's not talk about Apple. Let's talk about Amazon, because Apple has very less number of SKUs. So let's talk about Amazon. On Amazon, you are selling almost everything. Which item is going to have high demand variability, and why it is so important for your decision? I hope everyone understand what is high demand variability. So today I see a demand, I'm able to sell 1,000 units. Tomorrow I'm selling 10. Means variability is high, right, guys? What is the demand variability? When the demand signals are not reliable for a certain item, right? It has a lot of ups and downs, just like a stock market price. That's called variability in the demand. How will you find it? Roses coincide with 14th Feb, right? V-Day. Why roses are selling? So I already answered that. The reason is very simple, because it is coinciding with 14th Feb. Don't you think there will be a team sitting at Blinkit knowing that, and this is not like, how to say, when we do Diwali, right? Or when Ramzan happened, right? Don't you think that certain items sales increase? Have you ever seen diya getting sold all the time? No, right? Or I don't know. Or sevaiya, suddenly the sevaiya, because Ramzan, people use this sweets, and obviously the non-veg part of it. But end of the day, after Ramzan, a lot of people also eat non-veg. A lot of people eat a lot of sweets. When you see Diwali, and I live nearby DMart, I'm happy to say that, because I have seen DMart very closely. The moment Diwali times comes, right, you will start seeing a lot of gift packs. So Diwali just gone, right? And gifts pack customized for Diwali gifts, right? Means and have it's not only chocolates, ice cream, right? It's not like a chocolate pack. Now they're also giving health conscious category. So someone is planning for such seasonality, right? Health conscious choices, dry fruits gift, right? Makhana and all. So all these items are sold on the back of seasonality, which so there is someone who will be doing it. I was about to ask, who is that someone? Not everything will be managed by the dark warehouses, right? There will be another guy who will be doing all these things for you. In fact, and it goes in the bucket of what? There'll be a team doing demand forecasting. It's a big module in supply chain, demand forecasting. You can say someone will be doing this data scientist. It's not like that, coincidentally, someone is selling roses on Blinkit, right? They have decided that, and they have done a nice market fitment as well, that will people buy on Blinkit? How many of roses how many roses packs I should keep in my inventory? If I put more, if I put less, I'm on both sides. It's a double-edged sword. If you put more, those roses will die. Valentine is over after few hours here, right? So how will you manage that? So we'll manage it because someone is managing for us, right? So they will exactly tell at each of those dark stores how many roses you should keep. And sometimes they also start with some, gut feeling, intuition, and take a risk. But people are selling anything on Blinkit now. So now, if you see Holi comes after some time, you will see colors, those pichkarias, right? When I think Patang was also being sold on in Blinkit during the January time. Who is buying kites? But they are selling and they are delivering in one piece. So what I'm trying to say that all those things make supply chain so beautiful and also complex at the same time. Because now you're adding more inventory, and that to a dangerous inventory segment, which is seasonal. And seasonality is one aspect of it. There are other things. But I'll go back to my original question, and which you have linked it. High demand variability, right, is very difficult to manage because it's not a stable demand. If you keep less, you lose on sales. So there's a loss sales, you will lose on money. If you keep more and it's a perishable item like roses and low shelf life, right? If it is a low shelf life, you are going to lose on those. You have to throw away, like it's a waste. If it is a high shelf life and you're not selling it, it will take all the space in your small dark store, right? It will be just lying on your shelf. So you need to anywhere move around. So end of the day, it's a problem. So statistically, it helps you to do a lot of stuff, but there are two algorithms in AI. So there's a concept of AI powered segmentation I'll talk about. And then I'll try to link this story later on the GenAI agentic side. AI powered segmentation. AI is a fancy word to say artificial intelligence. Since you're using AI components, there are two algorithms we use. One is called PCA, which is principal component analysis. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. And then another one is called K-means clustering. This is something now in supply chain, a lot of people are using. So these two algorithms, they have to be used in sequence, like one after the other, not like one of the other. That helps you to do the same thing which you are doing statistically. So this is what in real supply chain world, people see this kind of variability of demand, low volume, longer life cycles, shorter life cycles, disruption spike like seasonal events, right? Promotions, right? If you're running a promotion, something you are bound to. Suppose I brought Shah Rukh Khan to add about a product. I don't have inventory in my dark store. It's bullshit, right? If you are bringing SRK to do a promotion for some item, and during that time you guys are not able to stock it, it's unfortunate, right? Because demand will be there, you're not able to fulfill, you lose on the money, and already have paid SRK a lot of money for that. It's so interesting discussion. It will come. Okay, so let's start with this AI powered segmentation. So if I go back to this, you are just looking at demand variability and volume to classify, right? Isn't it? Let's say you are just looking at two levers. I'll tell you why we need. Whenever you are starting with anything, always start with the need for it. So what's the need for AI powered segmentation? Think about it. Whenever we try to visualize things, generally people visualize either 2D, just like that chart, which was like what? Demand variability. And on the y-axis you had, I think, volume, right? How many quantities you are shipping or selling. Definitely you can make buckets of it. But what if the list is long, just like I was telling? So you have, volume is one thing, volume of demand. Uh, Variability is one thing. So variability in demand is another lever that definitely is being used. So volume of demand, variability in demand. What else? What if I talk about GP, right? Gross profit. That's where the dollar comes into the picture, isn't it, guys? What about shelf life? Do you think that can be a deciding factor for keeping SQ? Shelf life decide if some item is perishable or not, right? Shelf life decide a lot of things in quick commerce, isn't it? How many days you can keep certain items, that can change the whole dynamics of the industry. So for example, I am keeping, let's say, roses. The same example came today. Do you think roses can last more than a week? Week is too high, right? These flowers, they have very less shelf life. Okay. And a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables also have similar life cycle. Okay. So I'm talking about shelf life can be one lever. Whether it is seasonal or not can be another lever. Okay. How much is the lead time for that product? Lead time for what? Lead time can be anything. So lead time from supplier to dark store will decide, right? How do you want to stock this inventory? Isn't it? So lead time can play a big role. So when we think about SQ segmentation, I'm just telling you two, three things, right? But the list can be huge because the reality is that a lot of things can decide the how much you want to keep where, and end of the day, you need to ensure that all those things are getting captured, or at least decide first and then capture. Don't go with this preconceived notion that oh, volume and demand variability will be everything. Okay. Now, if I talk about the strategy is very simple. Sometimes people only think about one thing, that okay, I need to just keep one item at a certain level of inventory, and then I completely forget about the other item. By the time demand comes, we keep thinking about what should be my next item. Suppose if a new product is coming, how much I should keep it. Suppose a perishable item is how much I can keep it. It's very complex answer, and there's no one size fits all strategy. So this is very tricky. And to be honest, guys, there's no straightforward answer. Even if you ask me, I'll not able to tell you that the straightforward answer is this and you do that. But I'll tell you better answers if I am able to see how AI can decide what is happening. A lot of features I have not even enabled here because if you are living in electronic city, the demand profile can be different versus if you're living in Chandni Chowk, Delhi, right? Correct or not? I'll tell you a simple example, and you will agree that that also decide that what is going to happen. Okay. So if I am living in South India, Bangalore, right? Chances of someone buying dosa batter. Think about it. Have you seen MTR? Right? Dosa batter. It comes like a nice pouch. I can show you on the screen. Where is my Mr. Internet? I'm taking a very real example because dosa batter, if you see MTR, I'm searching on live. Yeah. So this one I'm talking about. I myself buy a lot this product whenever we go to DMart. Now you tell me buying this dosa batter, and let's say I'm in Bangalore and Namma Bengaluru, right? Where do you think this product is going to get bought? What do you think? Where it is getting sold the most of the time? So MTR dosa batter is mostly sold in Bangalore. Okay. So I'll take state wise, not like Delhi or Bangalore, or let's take city wise. These are two top cities, metro cities. How many of you guys know that MTR as a company is based out of where? So where I live in Electronic City, MTR factory or warehouse where they make it, the production and everything is like 5 kilometers away from my place. I've seen it. I'm a supply chain fan. Okay. So 5 kilometers away. So MTR has its route to obviously in Bangalore, right? So chances of being sold in Bangalore is highest. That can be one reason. But if you see the sales data, right? MTR, if you see, understand, at least between Delhi and Bangalore, Bangalore is going to consume it. Why? Because the market in Bangalore for dosa is always going to be the highest no matter what. Then the counter argument comes. Think about it. When I say Bangalore is going to buy MTR dosa a lot, isn't it you will counter me saying that there are a lot of South Indian families living in Bangalore and they make their own batter. They make their own batter. Isn't it? That's what the argument. Exactly. But that's not the case. In today's fast life, nobody has time. There are a lot of old traditional people. In fact, you will be amazed to know that South Indian people love to eat aloo parathe. Can you believe it? As breakfast. South Indian people, originally South Indian people, they love aloo paratha. Now, interesting insights, right? Why do you think it's happening? Because the way we live in, the way we live, the times we are living in, it's not about that South Indian will always eat dosa. Please don't paint that story. The consumer behavior is another thing, and that decides demand profile, isn't it? So what we are talking about, right? Bangalore, Delhi, these are all what I am trying to study. This will come in market study, right? So consumer behavior is a big thing. You agree or not? I just took an example that how do you know what will happen in this year versus next year is a big time. What will happen this week to next week is a different ballgame we are in. The time we are living in is fast world. And trust me, everybody is part of that world. Maybe our parents. So I'm 36. So my parents are like, 65, 66. So I believe that these guys are definitely traditional. They don't want to eat a lot. But these guys who are living in Bangalore, and a lot of people who are like Gen Zs and millennials and boomers, right? Not boomers, sorry, alphas, right? Alpha we call the youngest, right? These guys are very choosy and very moody, and that is creating a big pain in supply chain behavior. So consumer behavior drives the demand profiles, and demand profiles is not changing in a year. It's changing. It's ever changing. It's every week. It's changing. So what I'm trying to message here now, if you see so many levers and compare these just two levers, do you really think you are doing the right supply chain? Why we keep telling, let's bring AI into supply chain? Let's bring Gen AI into supply chain, because this is a traditional supply chain, might have worked 50 years, 40 years, 30 years back. It's still the core of supply chain, but all those nuances, if you want to capture, you have to use some tools and an advanced technology to capture all those nuances in the demand signals. And that's beside the SKU segmentation. Obviously, I'll talk about PCL KMs at a high level, executive level, but do you agree to this narrative that just looking at volume and demand variability is little old, right? Demographic is a big role play here. What I'm saying is consumer behavior and all calls under the kitty of what? Demography. Demography behavior, right? Means what's your age group, what's your income group, what's your gender, which part of the world you are living in. All those decide everything here in today's supply chain. Because if you see any marketing, and I'm obviously I'm trying to, so guys, today is our first time. So I'm trying to, getting into everything, okay, and give you a picture of this whole thing. So if you see, there are a lot of companies, okay, there are a lot of companies who are deciding a lot of things on the back of what you are doing. That becomes your demand profile. So it's not only about, oh, I just take a random SKU and start segmenting it. It will never work. You have to think through that this segmentation has a role to play only if you are doing it right. If you're not doing it right, you're just doing it in rudimentary or traditional approach, you are always bound to fail. That's what's the message I want to give it. Okay. I'm not talking about only SQ segmentation when I take this up. This is not part of SQ segmentation. This pillar has itself a name for it. And what is the name for it, guys? When you talk about consumer behavior, it becomes consumer segmentation or customer segmentation. Again, the underlying technology or principle remains the same. You can use PCA plus K-means is one way to do it, but there are other approaches as well. Okay, obviously at the right time to talk about. So I'm not planning to today get into PCA and K-means and start teaching you. That's not the idea. But I hope you understand this philosophy of segmentation. Segmentation can make your life easy, right? For two things. So we think that segmentation, SQ segmentation has just one role to play. It's not enough. Let me show you a nice summary of different supply chain function, and you will love to see this, how segmentation, I'm talking about SQ segmentation. This image is not very clear. Let me take another image because this much I don't want to write and time waste. Okay, I think this will be better. So now I'm talking about segmentation can affect multiple functions of supply chain. Okay. I'm not talking about only segmentation as in like SQ, any segmentation. So this heading I'll write on the top, supply chain segmentation. Did you see, guys, I started with SQ segmentation. I little bit talked about customer segmentation, but broadly, if I talk about segmentation, so if I recall from the first section, there are different pillars of supply chain, sourcing, manufacturing, stocking, like warehousing, which is called move, right? There are a lot of pillars. Every pillar is going to get affected by supply chain. Now, if your SQ segmentation is not right, you will not be able to do a right forecasting for it, right? Correct? Your forecasting approach, you cannot identify. Agree? Different segmentation, SQs and customer have different forecasting approach, right? You don't know. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about Zara story. Zara is a retailer, fashion retailer. You know that? They are the fashion retailer. Guys, these guys have to do so much of, since I work for Accenture, yeah, it's a clothing background brand. And another one is like, which is very famous, it's a Tata bat called Zudio. Are you aware of it? So Zara's immediate competition or fierce competition is given by Zudio. Are you aware of it? I request you guys, if you have seen these boards only so far, please do a bit of research. in fashion retail. Do a bit of research. Take it like a task for the when we meet again. The story of Zara versus Zudio. Okay. Zara is expensive. Zara has a lot of niche design, keeps changing every week. It's like a weekly refresh of their shelf. Trust me, the kind of pain they have to go through to decide what will work and what will not. And in clothing, right? Again, a fashion retailer, it is a big, big decision to be made, right? It's not like a selling a Surf Excel, right? आज नहीं बिका तो परसों तो बिकेगा ही, right? If you're not able to move, clothing stocks, right on the time, you are never going to earn profit because you have margin, but end of the day, there are so many choices, the same dress, someone can pick it or someone can never pick it. Okay. Nobody knows that. So that's why SQ segmentation, customer segmentation is a real thing, right? If you try to understand Zudio behavior and the kind of clothing they do, right? Have you seen? And mostly I would blame it to if anybody was like not to the guys, girls, or the ladies in this batch. Don't think, take it negative that I'm trying to be sexist, but the choices, confusing choices stem from that segment of the customer, right? Mostly guys are more sorted and it works for them and even for the fashion guys. But if it is a dress and those who are married and they know, it is not an easy task to go and find something which will work for them for shopping, right? I don't know how many of you guys have experience firsthand, but imagine the scenario of a company who is running at that scale that they actually don't know what will sell and still they have to estimate it. That's where the beauty of supply chain comes, right? So demand forecasting of such items and that to so fast moving item, right? And he cannot stock so much, he cannot stock less, but he have to ensure that the SKUs keep moving and the wastage is limited. Agree? That's the reason that Mintra and these guys who are doing e-commerce on the fashion side, they are struggling with so much of return. There are big case studies on return. Return on the dresses is always going to be higher. That's the need of the business. The moment they say, "Oh, I don't want you guys to return," there is a charge for return. People will stop buying on Mintra. Agree or not? So that's what I'm saying that fashion retailer, Zara, Zudio, and there can be other names as well. These guys have to do a lot of right work on the demand planning side of it. I'll talk about a little bit on the transportation, right? SQ segmentation has a big role about the cost, delivery accuracy, what kind of modes is needed, what kind of items you have to keep it moving. So that also decide a little bit on the segmentation side of it. Now my demand is like more for the ice cream, right? I have to ensure that I have enough refrigerated truck, right, guys? Can you move ice cream without refrigerated trucks? Think about it. No. Can you move milk like Nandini in Bangalore without refrigerated trucks? No. So now demand also decide in consumer goods that what kind of fleet I have. Now, see, Nandini is a supplier, they're only making milks. But let's say you are more on Amazon, you are more on, let's say, Walmart, then you will be moving all types of items. So SQ segmentation will also help to decide what kind of trucks I need, how many of them I need, what should be my approaches to move things around. That's also decide the logistic or delivery part of it. Segmentation has a big, big role play on this part and this part. Everywhere segmentation plays a big role, but demand planning decide what you want to keep. Inventory planning helps you to decide how much to keep and where to keep, right? Now let's take the same example of dark store. Can you keep every item in abundant of quantity? No way. You don't have a space, right? You cannot keep, 2,000 liters of milk every day, right? Come on. Are you joking? 2,000 of liters is like so many of packets. You cannot afford to keep that many packets of milk every day. So you have to always plan for a day or the next day. And that's where inventory management has a big linkage to the segmentation part of the story. If your segmentation doesn't tell you the right size of product, which to keep, which not to keep, who are fast movers, who are not fast movers, you will never be able to decide. Now I'm asked a simple question. Again, like a assessment check. Now there are two category of products, fast movers and slow movers, right? Which one you want to stock more? There are two types of product. This linkage is coming from here. So which one you want to keep more? Okay. There is no brainer, and obviously there can be different thoughts coming from different people. But in any world, the answer will always be there. So what is the question? I should write the question. Which item category should I so that there's no confusion later also. Should I stock at a higher volume level, right? In any world, on any day, answer is very simple. It is fast mover. Answer is very simple. No confusion there. Think about it now. If I'm not able to sell, let's say, 5 chairs of the same type, same SKU, I'm not able to sell 5 chairs. It has been 2 months. My inventory is lying. Are you going to bring 2 more chairs to your dark warehouse, dark store? No way. Why will I bring, right? I'm not able to sell only these 2 chairs which have been lying for let's say 2 months, 5 chairs and taking a lot of space. Like at least it will take a space of 1 square feet by 1 square feet, right? I think a chair is not 1 square feet, more than that, right? So at least an area of 2 by 2, 2 by 2, right? Like a big tiles. Why will I keep it more? So 100% if something which I'm selling, I'll keep it. Let's say I already identify that I have identified I need to keep fast movers. Then the question will be like double click on it to keep fast movers. Let's say, yes, how I'm trying to beautifully put it like a story. Let's say that in your SQ segmentation tells you, let's say SQ segmentation says that 100 out of 5,000 items are fast movers, right? Let's say they are getting labeled as fast movers, right? Now you have 100 items, right? So you will not go and do a blanket rule that, all these 100 items I'll keep equal quantity, right? Right? It's common sense, right? Again, so I'm going all on the back of common sense, my dear. So now think about it. Yes, I'll not keep everybody same. So what I'll do, I'll look at high turnover category and demand. So within that, obviously the demand is there. That's why they are fast mover. But I'll also see their high turnover, right? Which is like basically looking into the ROI. Turnover means ROI, right? Which is basically saying that fast moving goods, I'll say items, good is not looking good. Fast moving items would sell quickly. That's one thing, but also having higher profit margin, right? That level will also be there. So visualize when you will do this segmentation now, you will have a bucket where the fast moving items plus having profit margin, that's something also, also show as a bracket. So imagine that you have a grid, like an Excel grid, and you will have buckets of these SQ when you place it. I'll show you. Operational speed. So once you have identified the fast movers with a higher profit margin, you will keep it, right? And again, going back to the dark store thing, if you have realized that who are those guys, right? You will keep it in a most accessible zone, which we call also like a fast moving zones. So visualize in your head, you are inside the dark store. So should be placed in the most accessible zones near the dispatch area. You have to ensure that positioning also taken care of near the dispatch area. Okay, let's little bit talk about one more concept. So high turnover, you will keep it. What would be the safety stock for it? This is coming from inventory side of the story. For such guys, what is going to be the safety stock? Okay, let me before you go anywhere, you know the difference between safety stock and cycle stock? So I'll not talk about it, but just to, since it's needed in our conversation, safety stock is to take care of the variability in demand. Excuse me, right? Now, if something which is moving fast, would you like to lose on the sales because of you don't have enough milk, enough paneer, enough eggs? No, right? So then safety stock becomes a big supporting thing. So for example, I know these are fast movers and good margin as well in terms of profit. So we need to keep, given that they are popular, these items at a higher quantity to avoid stockouts. To avoid stockouts. Correct, guys? So stockout is like suppose you have a demand and you don't have any milk packet to fill it. So it's very important that you keep these guys at a higher quantity level. So safety stock generally for such category of items are generally higher because you don't want to lose. It's not only about uncertainty. You don't want to lose, and they are important for you. You can't lose them. Okay. Now, if something is also very, why not Blinkit started selling silver? silver. I know gold coin also comes sometimes on Blinkit, but why not? Why Blinkit and these guys don't sell gold and silver all the time? Only they bring during the Diwali time. I'm hardly trying to find it. It's not like you can see that a lot of guys are selling it. They are selling it, but it's not like, see, trust and all those things are always there. The most important thing is that safety factor, Raj. The most critical factor is safety factor. Just imagine 1 gram of gold someone is selling. At today's time, that will be 12, 13,000 rupees, right? Gold price is higher doesn't make that profit margin is higher, right? That was the tricky question here. They want to keep what? Having higher profit margin, not like having higher invoice value, right? Oh, gold margin is always less. If Kalyan is giving to Amazon or Blinkit, how much Blinkit is earning? Do you think selling gold on Blinkit is a higher margin business or a lower margin business to Blinkit? It's a lower margin business. Why they will get a lot of money out of selling gold? How much they can make on it? So profit margin decides what you want to keep. I think what I was trying to confuse you guys is that if the price of certain item is higher, you think profit is always higher. No, it's not true. Let me ask you one thing very simple, the highest margin items are food. Okay, and that's why groceries, and these veggies and vegetables, right? And avocados and lettuce and all, those are very high profit margin veggies, right? If you sell them, you will earn more money than gold. But the only thing is that gold doesn't need a lot of space to be kept. So that's a trade-off in a warehouse, right? If I have to keep even 1 kg of gold, which is like what, 1,000 grams of gold cards, I might have to just use like a small box and it's enough. But the problem is that how will you store that much of gold in a warehouse? Second thing is that if once someone places that order, forget about trust. I place the order that I need 2 grams of gold coins. I need to give it to my family member. The guy who's going to deliver, right? If he does something here and there, I'm not trying to paint that story, but they will always be concerned about safety of that order, right? That order gets delivered or not. So they also identify that only trusted delivery guys. They have a delivery guy score. When I talk about delivery, you'll realize every delivery guy has a score factor in their business. Since quick commerce is like more like a contractual job, like a freelancer job, you switch on your phone, you're available, you switch off your phone, you're not available. Suppose I took the gold delivery from my dark store and I switched off my phone. You know what I mean? Because my Aadhaar card was false, I will take a new number, new identity, and still come back, right? Agree? Safety is a big factor in some of those items. That's why you will not see that, laptops are still being sold at nobody wants laptop to be coming like in 10 minutes, right? It's not like even a good business case. So just selling gold during Diwali is just a way to say that, ki, dude, gold de sakte hain, but doesn't need to be. Means if I would, operate Blinkit, I would have not done that. Why I need to get into that, right? But just they want to give the completeness of the consumer behavior, and they want to say that, okay, you can almost find anything on us. Please come to our app. It's like more to bring people to the app, nothing more than that. So selling gold coins, silver coins is just during Diwali or festive season is a way of recalling those customers back to your app. That's it. They're not earning like ton of profit on that, because that's where the profit margin has a big role to play. Now, but profit margin is not everything. Okay. Now I'll counter you with another thing. Suppose I sell milk, right? And in milk, I'm just making, let's say, 1 rupees per packet as Blinkit per liter. Let's say I'm making it that. I'm just making up some number. So it seems like it will be in the lower profit margin bucket, very lower profit margin bucket. I'm making it up. I'm not sure whether it is a profitable business or not. Very lower profit margin bucket. Tell me, then Zepto should or Blinkit should stop selling milk. Volume plus necessity. Suppose I want, and necessity gives you the concept of market basket analysis, MBA. That's not management course. Market basket analysis. Basket is also important, na? Right? Just imagine I'm getting milk on Blinkit. Milk and bread. You are saying I'll not give milk. You are Blinkit. And Zepto has both milk and bread. I wrote it ulta. My bad. Sorry. Milk is not given by Blinkit, right? And bread is given by Blinkit. And you have more option on the bread. So Zepto has, I'm making it more complicated. So Zepto has no white bread, right? No white like it has just maida bread. I'm trying to make this story, right? Blinkit is like telling, I'll give you 4 types of bread. 4 types of bread. It's still, you know what people will do, I'll tell you. And you just imagine what you have done. You have happily gone today, it's fine here. I have to go to office, right? I'll take Zepto and I'll buy milk and bread. Agree or not? That's called market basket or the necessity angle. Guys, you need to have breakfast, right? You're already running late. You don't have these items in your fridge, right? What you will do? It's a split second you have for a decision. You tell me, guys, are you going to buy, one of those coolest types of bread like a multi-grain and like an Italian bread, and then milk from other 2 platforms and pay some delivery charge, or you'll try to do market basket it and try to add little more items to it and get a delivery free or maybe whatever that handling charge. It's common, right? That you will do this. So sometime necessity is one of the things. Obviously, volume is the biggest reason, and necessity is another reason because without that, you cannot help people to have a complete purchase. So it has nothing to do with the SQ segmentation. So if someone says profit margin is less, okay, fine. If the profit margin is less, then volume will be driving it. That's why you are having it. If nobody is buying, why will you have it, right? So I think these examples are making more, giving more clarity to you guys.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat offers a professional certification program in supply chain management in collaboration with EICT IIT Guwahati. Through this course, you will master supply chain and procurement technologies and explore new age tools like GenAI for autonomous supply chain. You will get access to 40 plus live sessions over 6 months, guided by top IIT faculties and industry experts. The course includes 10 plus industry projects and case studies, and a 2 days campus immersion at EICT IIT Guwahati, and an official certification from EICT IIT Guwahati to validate your expertise. This online program is designed to help you manage the end to end life cycle of supply chain and fast track your career growth with guaranteed placement assistance and 3 job interviews upon entering the placement pool. This could be a stepping stone to a high growth career in supply chain management. So, check out the course page link given below in the description and take your first step towards becoming a supply chain expert.
This module, which I am going to cover, is more on logistics side. We were talking about warehousing side of it. If we talk about logistics, I'm calling it the evaluation from analytics to autonomous agent. Okay. You might be hearing agents left, right, center all the time. Okay. So this module, today we'll talk about a little more on how it is different from analytics, and how Agentic AI, Gen AI is going to help. So let's start with 3 keywords. So one is like analytics. Then I will say Gen AI, and then I'll say, autonomous agent, which basically Agentic AI. Anyone? And guys, let's make it interactive like the last one. These 3 keywords, let's call it keywords. Let's say, see, obviously our premise is logistics. Okay. Or maybe I'll also put the word keyword logistics so we are focusing on this. So obviously all these 3 will come under this bracket, logistics. Okay. Let's start with this keyword, logistics. We have this. So I'm bringing this guy here. Okay. Do you think logistics is already mentioned here? So I'll change the color, deliver. Delivery guy. Okay. Just like I was taking the example of Zepto, do you think Zomato is solely dependable on deliver or delivery? In simple English, you can say transportation, right? So I'm not getting into the technical or textbook definition of it, but logistics is important piece of the puzzle of what you are doing in supply chain. And now I'll obviously come into today how GenAI is shaping up for us. Correct? Now, if I say to this part, supply chain plan, sorry, the delivery part of it, this logistics part. Logistics is itself a function or a pillar in overall supply chain, right? There can be, so we always see logistics like truck. Now people are moving here from one place to another. It can be goods, it can be services, it can be humans too, right? So when you're using Ola, Uber, isn't it they are doing at a very high scale, dynamically allocation of these cab booking orders to the fleet or the cars of their fleet within that proximity, isn't it, guys? Everybody has booked Rapido, Ola, Uber, these taxis or cabs, isn't it? It's a big problem they are solving. It looks like our supply chain is not only about goods and services, even humans are part of it. So logistics is I don't know how many of you guys are aware that even if you want a country economy to uplift, logistics is a big lever for it. And that's why I don't know how many of you guys have traveled to China ever, but whenever you go to China or, places like any developed city, US, I have been in US, you will see that the roads are, the quality of roads and the connectivity of these roads, rail network have a big impact on the GDP growth for a country. So just try to understand that logistics is so important. Okay. A lot of decision we do because of logistics. Okay. So now if I show a nice diagram, which is a network diagram, you will realize that logistics has such a big role to play. And thanks to the people, who do these nice diagram for us to understand. So I'm giving the credit directly there. Do you see this nice image? It's coming from web. So if you see, logistics has two functions to it. On the screen, it has inbound and it has outbound. So one is inbound and another is outbound. So let's go through this flow diagram. Whenever you try to buy, which is the very first step, and source material from a supplier. So suppose I want to go, or maybe I think I should take a step back. I realize that I'm not given the textbook definition for logistics, and you might be willing to have it. Let me write it quickly. Will take a minute. So what is logistics? Logistics, like you guys said correctly, is the part of the supply chain. Part of the supply chain that plans, implements, and controls and this is the most important line, the efficient and cost-effective movement. Nobody mentioned these two words, that's why I'm writing in some different color. Cost-effective movement, sometimes we also call cost-effective flows, and storage of goods, services, like you guys mentioned, from point of origin to point of consumption. Now it looks really overwhelming because textbook definitions are really overwhelming, but it needs to be mentioned here. You will love it because it has a lot of things getting captured already. So in simple words, supply chain is going to decide what and where, right? So supply chain says, what you need and where you need. Logistic decides how, when, at what cost, right? So I should also write that. I'll type it. So in simple words, if I have to say, supply chain decides what and where. Okay. Logistics decide how, means how will you move it, when will you move it, and at what cost. See, cost is also important. I'll tell you examples to, make you feel better about it. Although this is our parts, I'll focus here, but you should also know what is supply chain. Supply chain just says that, what and where, right? In simple English. Logistics decide how, when, and what cost. Isn't it, guys, if I have to go from, let's say, Bangalore to Delhi, right? I might choose like aircraft if I don't have time. So I'll go and book a aeroplane, right? Indigo or whatever we have available options in our country. I might be paying extra fare, right? Correct? Because I don't have time. But if I have to go from Bangalore to, let's say, Chennai, okay? What do you think? What is the best mode of transport I would like to be interested in? I might go for a quick transport because that is nearby almost. So those who don't know geographically, Bangalore and Chennai, they are very much close. I might book a train or I might book a bus. Agree? Yeah, rail or rail, right? Train or bus, rail or road, mode of transport. Correct. So what is that? What is that deciding? How and what cost, right? How I'm going? I'm going from Bangalore to Delhi or Bangalore to sorry, I'm going from Bangalore to Delhi or Bangalore to Chennai. Cost is going to decide how will I approach that flow. So, and if I have to go to Chennai, obviously cost-effective solution will be I'll go for a train or or like a bus. That becomes like easy flow. Now since you have a clear idea about logistics, it is starting from the point of origin to point of consumption, right? This is very, very important point I've written. Point of origin to point of consumption is actually our supply chain network, right? For example, this is the point of consumption, right? So someone is going to get the Amazon delivery, right? It's like an e-commerce example I have taken, right? So let's say this is a person who needs that parcel. Let's say that's a laptop. These days Mac Mini is very famous. I'm taking that example, Apple Mac Mini. So now Apple Mac Mini needs to be sourced from somewhere. So we'll purchase and source and get all the materials needed to Mac Mini, right? So basically I'm saying that you are going to buy all the raw materials and the chips and the displays and the, everything. And then you will move it through different modes of transport. So here you will generate that movement. So you can see a nice truck. And let's say you are going from China to China port of, China to China port of entry. So there's a word I just mentioned, port of entry, POE. Okay. Port of entry. So by route, when I say by route means road, you will take it, these items, right, through a truck, using a truck and move things from, let's say, China big city to the port of entry. That will be a port. Port where all these big ships arrive and move through the oceans, into the oceans, right? So these guys will take all those again unload, right, and move it here. Then finally it will receive, let's say in America, and you are living in Texas, right? So now those no, there will be production happening here. So you will be taking those raw materials and do the production of laptops, which I'm saying mini Mac. You will assemble it, test it, make it ready, and a customer order is going to get fulfilled through that. So every time while you're doing these things, you can see different modes of transport will come in. A small van, a big van, ocean vessel, a ship, aeroplanes, and different modes of transport. But ultimately, whenever the goods, right, is moving around, transportation or say logistics is always gonna be involved. Agree or not? Here you're using a road, here you're using a ship, so ocean. In this example, there's no truck or no railway or aeroplanes, but all 3 or 4 modes of transport might be getting plugged into one supply chain network. So what are the different modes of transport? I'll just write. So here, road, rail, and ocean. Let's say water. That's good because water can be ocean or river as well. So what I'm trying to say, all these modes of transport is your medium or mode of transport to help you move things around. Depends on again, go back to that definition part. It has to be the efficient and cost effective movement. So how many of you guys are aware of the use case where Apple, flew a lot of iPhones? I think when this China tariff were happening, this whole tariff war, I think it was last year, Apple moved, I think, some good inventory from China to US because Donald Trump was going to put a lot of tariffs. So now efficient is the keyword gets flagged, right? So, when, Apple flew, right? I think 4 or 5, I don't know what is the exact, but big Boeing aircrafts full of iPhone with lots of iPhones from China to US. This is a transport happen, guys, right? From China to USA during tariffs war. It's a news, man. Someone can Google it in the break and you can validate that, oh, Akash was right. Now this becomes efficient, right? Efficient and cost effective flows, agree or not? It was not about storage related. It's like, China could, so I'm saying that was cost efficient and effective, cost effective and efficient movement of iPhone, because if they would not have done it, they would have lost a lot of money on the tax only, right? And Apple is not a company like, today you can make that price 50% up, 50% down. They have a brand to protect. So Apple would have to take a hit on all those iPhones because of the fact that these tariff wars are going to create a lot of pricing issues for them. So if you think from the supply chain angle, Apple proactively reacted to that situation. They took a strategic decision. That's what CXOs and C-suites guys do. They'll sit in a board meeting room, monitoring the situation, and they realize that it's happening. Obviously, there will be people also helping them from all those government orders being discussed. And since they are a giant company, they had certain advantage, and they knew that if they don't do this, at least they are going to take a huge hit on those iPhones which they are going to sell in future. So they strategically moved around things in no time. Okay. And supply chain is like that, since iPhones are, I don't know how many of you guys are aware of not, but iPhones are designed in such a way that logistically also within a truck, their utilization of those truck space is also optimized. So that is exactly the reason Apple iPhones or a lot of phones companies stop giving you charger. Are you aware of it? Right? I don't know if you go and buy a new iPhone today, if I'm correct, I have not recently bought any phone, but you will not get a charger. You know why? It is not like to save the planet and reduce the carbon emission. One of the biggest reasons running behind the scene is that they wanted to have a optimized packaging for iPhone so that it saves more space on truck. Again, related to logistics, isn't it, guys? Because now you will be able to put more iPhones in the same truck compared to the earlier sizes. And you take any phones in today's time, more or less packaging wise, every phone has a similar packaging. No phones come with like, oh, I will have a big space, like a big box, and phone will just take this tiny space. Have you seen any phone like this packaging? Think about it. Why not like this? Give a lot of cards here, big A4, charger you can put here. No, nobody does this. This is your phone. This is your phone. Nobody gives you like this pack. Why not? Because it is one of the biggest reason for packaging is to put more iPhones, which will get you some money, or more phones, which will get you money in terms of when they sell those phones, you will earn some money, you will save on the logistics cost. So these two words have a lot of meaning than we understand. Efficient and cost-effective flows has to be cost-effective. Okay, so that's about your logistics. Now I'll ask terms. One is called intermodal, and another is called multimodal. As the name suggests, inter or multimodal means mixing one mode of transport with others. More than one modes of transport. In the diagram above, which I am showing, it's one mode or multimode, right? Multimode. Why we do multimode? Again, it goes back to the efficient and cost effective. So now in that use case, which I took, right, in that example, when Apple moved a lot of iPhones, that was more to save money. It was not cost-effective flows. It was more than I need to move fast. I have one day. I cannot waste on ocean flows and all. I'll just do it right now. So they just hired a lot of Boeing aeroplanes, Boeing or I don't know Airbus, but big aircrafts, and they flew a lot of iPhones. That was more from the business strategy, nothing to save the logistics cost. But if you see in this diagram, you have multi-mode because within the China, truck is cheaper, but China to US, you cannot go to aeroplanes, which is a lot of item, right? So obviously ocean, which is a sea sea mode of transport, water mode of transport, it will be more cost effective and efficient, while it might be a little less because it will take more days to arrive. So now if I combine these three, it becomes a very fantastic one. So generally we see it will be truck, which is your road, I'll write in bracket, all types of truck, or it will be trains, which will be rail, and plus C generally. So it can be and or all. I'm not saying that's always, truck or train, but in some cases, when the train is not that good, the train network, rail network, they'll go with this. So now this is the coolest example of multimodal. Another alternative can be, truck and then air can be also multimodal. Okay. Another keywords coming for you guys. Have you ever heard about these two keywords, LTL versus FTL? So I have a nice example to show it. I will not forget it. Do you see it, guys? So it can be LTL and FTL. I'm not getting into parcel because that's all you already know. Parcel you have seen, right? India Post coming, right? But if you see full truckload, so I'm not worried about this one. I'm just hiding it. So this image actually tries to compare different things. As the full form suggests that FTL stands for full truckload. So we'll try to, obviously you can never use 100% of the truckload. Truckload is like your capacity. So for example, I can put these many boxes. My truck capacity is, let's say, in this example, what about that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. See, my full truckload is 14 pallets. So pallet is again, have you seen wooden boxes and a lot of items put in cases and cases to pallets? So pallets is like a unit of measure. So imagine you have seen in a lot of these trucks, fruits coming in like wooden boxes. That's your pallet. Let's say I put 14 pallets of apples. Fruits of coconut, right? That's my full truckload capacity of this truck. So you can see that I am able to put 14 guys, 14 boxes. What is less than truckload? Let's say you did not have a lot of demand for it. Obviously, you cannot send things just for the sending things. Suppose I'm just shipping 4 pallets of apples. So basically, how much your utilization here? So if you do a simple baby math, FTL is like what? 14 by 14 into 100, that becomes 100% truck utilization. It's called TU. But here, if you do this math, it will become 4 by 14 into 100%. I'm taking a simple example. That becomes what? I can do this math. 28.57%, which is truck utilization. Tell me one thing, when you're only shipping 28% of the total truck, are you going cost effective or your cost is definitely gonna blown up for you? And why? Makes sense now. If you give only one box also or 4 boxes in this truck will always consume this almost similar. Again, let's take this route. So suppose this truck has to go from, let's say, Bangalore, BLR, to, let's say, Chennai. Doesn't matter how many boxes you're shipping, the fuel cost, which is we say shipment cost, which includes a lot of things, right? Shipment cost is not only fuel, right? It includes a lot of things. Fuel surcharge, driver salary, right? Food, a lot of things, right? All these things will be same. Let's say if I'm saying I'll be spending like 20,000 rupees, right? Doesn't matter. You are sending a LTL, it will be 20,000 rupees you have to pay. Let's assume that number. don't argue that, okay, what is this? Why this cost is not less, not more. And even if you are shipping a full truckload, are you going to spend similar money or not? Hello, yes or no? Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to give you a discount on it. So that's exactly the reason when you book a cab for your vacation from Bangalore to Ooty and you are taking a car and you just want to go to Ooty and don't want to come back, you are going to pay for the two sides. Why? Because they assume that you have left, but your soul is still in the car when returning back from Ooty to Bangalore. Just kidding. But they'll never give you that, oh, just give me half price. Why? Because that guy has to come back. Although they will find someone to get some, another tourist come in the car and they will try to, balance it. But that's not the case because let's say if he doesn't get anybody, you're going to pay for it. That's exactly supply chain logistics works, right? So I'm only talking about, outbound side. Okay, so another two terms, inbound, outbound. Are you aware of inbound, outbound? So tell me in this example where Apple was moving things, right? Where that example I put here. What do you think from China to USA, right? There's no plants, nothing I'm talking about, right? I'm just saying that there is a warehouse in a China, warehouse where you stock things and you're moving to USA warehouse. It's a warehouse to warehouse movement. Let's say that, right? Inbound, outbound is always with respect to a reference point, okay? So whenever you guys are right, so you guys are giving me textbook definition that outbound logistics covers the movement, distribution of finished good. But it can also be finished good moving around and still it is inbound and outbound in both the scenarios it is possible. I'll just share a nice image. So if you see here, let's say, whenever you're looking at anything, okay? So for example, I take this site and anything getting into this distribution center, okay? So anything getting into this distribution center, right? It is, if an arrow is getting into the, thing, it's inbound. Always remember that. Don't worry about this, So they are saying it's all outbound flows because they are, maybe this thing's confusing for you guys. Hold on. So I'll draw myself. It's a warehouse. I know it looks like a home, but it's a warehouse. Let's just say that, okay? Now, there is another warehouse, which is in another place, something like this. Okay, correct? This is a warehouse in China. Right, China. This is another warehouse, Apple warehouse, and that's in US. Now, you are moving a truck out. Okay, so let's say, obviously that was not a truck, that was an aeroplane. So let's say you have used an airplane. Now, if you're moving out of this guy, you're moving out, you're not getting in, you're moving out, that becomes outbound. It's an outbound logistics for China. They'll prepare for it, right? They will put everything, pack it and move it. When you're getting into the, this thing, you're getting in, isn't it? Or you're dropping it and getting in, that becomes inbound for US. Now, it can, and I will improve this. Now it can happen that after certain time period, you will have a distribution center, right? Distribution center, hold on. Hold on. So now there can be different distribution centers for you, and you will be moving things around in the regional thing. So for example, you have a distribution center here, you will take a truck out of it and move it here. I'm showing it here, another diagram. So imagine that it's the same thing. Somehow I just needed this truck. Okay. I'll replace it, this guy. Here. See it? So now you are inbound, and let's say you have a nice Apple store here, right? Let's say it's in Texas. So you have taken a truck out of the warehouse closer to the, obviously, right? Texas is like in the bottom of America, right? It's the south. Have you seen Texas on a map? So It's here. So let's say this is a guy which is here, right? This is Texas, guys. This red one is Texas. Okay. Texas state. So now this guy has a store here. So this guy will move around to the truck. Now you tell me, for this store, this becomes what? For a store, this becomes inbound for a store, correct? Inbound for store again. And then in this case, this guy, since you're going out, outbound, exactly. Outbound for USA warehouse. What about that? I think we'll never confuse this anymore, right? Can I say that? Or still confused? I'm just trying to. Okay, good. Inbound, outbound, FTL, LTL. I think we're good. We're sorted for now. Okay. Now I'll talk about, so I started with something else. We'll come back on how we are going to use AI, Gen AI. Let's talk about this one. So now if you talk about logistics, analytics, Gen AI, let's focus on, so now this is already done. Let's talk about analytics. See, analytics is what? Anything number crunching, where you are explaining how many routes you have, how many trucks you're moving, what is the cost, how can I improve the cost week or week, what is my number of trucks going, is it something that, oh, I'm not able to send more trucks, right? So like a dashboard. So for example, if I show you a nice dashboard, everything falls under the category of analytics, like something like this, right? So let's say you are looking at how your shipments are happening, what is the trends, how many orders you're able to fulfill, what is the shipment status, right? What are your, like someone is saying, right, real price versus MSRP. So that tells you that are you moving efficiently or not, right? So any analytics dashboard you are looking is all part of analytics. Any nice dashboard on it, where you are converting or transforming raw logistics data into insights, right? No. So what route you have to take, optimize or not, Shivam Garg, that is, right? That is a different area of logistics. You are talking about route optimization, right? You are talking about how can I improve my optimality of transport. I'm not talking about that. Once you have done that, once you have done the shipment, movements are happening, you are just showing the reports of those data. So let me write a couple of things and then I'll give time to talk through. So analytics is what? And this is just an illustrative image, guys. So don't try to think from where it has come. It has come from illustrative. It means this is just an example. So don't try to relate it to any data here. So what is logistics plus analytics? Hold on. Logistics plus analytics. So logistics plus analytics, it helps you to understand what happened, why it happened. So already it happened, so you're not planning for it, right? And you will also try to do some projections. So what may happen, right? And what may happen next in logistics, not anywhere else. So what is your area of study or analysis? Logistics. So this helps you to understand, but what you're doing to reach here, so you are trying to, converts raw logistics data into insights. That's exactly analytics helps you to do. I'll give you some use cases. How does it help? For example, you have certain roads, right? You have certain road, and you know that in this lane, so again, I'm saying, suppose this is my route. Okay, this is my route. I'm going from Bangalore to Chennai all the time, right? That's a lane we call lane. Okay. So every week over week, I am shipping trucks from Bangalore to Chennai, isn't it? I'm moving, let's say, these electronics items. So this is a lane. This is a lane. I'm going Bangalore to Chennai and coming back, right? That's like a flow I'm having. And route is also decided. So now I'm not optimizing routes or anything. It's decided. Every day, these guys will go, this will come, right? Through this route. Now, if you understand, if you have a lane and you have a lane related data, the first thing you try to do the freight cost analysis. So basically, every day you will take the data and try to find how much is my cost of, obviously traffic will be different on Friday versus Monday, right? So you will try to do the cost analysis that, cost analysis has, right, how much you spend in India, it will be not dollars, spend INR, rupees, and you will try to see that how much your truck utilization is. Because that has a big relation. Suppose you are taking a truck which is half empty, your cost, your freight, cost analysis will say that I have spent similar amount, but I'm not able to use the truck a lot. So that comes as a like a red flag because you're not able to recover that cost, right? As a business, correct or no? That's exactly what people do. They also try to give some discount and then try to run some campaign so that they can move more items, right? So that's one way of looking at it. Then OTIF is very important thing in logistics, which we also say to meet the service level agreement. OTIF is your on time in full. So you are fulfilling every order on time. So have you seen Myntra guys coming and delivering? When they say that I will deliver you tomorrow, they'll deliver it tomorrow means it is an on time shipment, right? Similarly, if you're not delivering it, it can be tied back to logistics that, although I ship the material or the parcel on time, I could not deliver on time because of so reasons. It can be any reason, but they do track between the same route. Okay. So if you see, logistics is not only about just moving trucks. They also want to see that what is the status of shipment, right? It is delayed or it is on time so that they can manage customer expectation. This helps to manage customer expectation. Have you seen Amazon giving you a message or Myntra giving message? Oh, your shipment is getting delayed. Apologies and all. Why? It's a part of manage customer expectations, isn't it, guys? So you can plan your day, right? You will not be waiting for that nice T-shirt, right? Which you wanted to wear and go to a party. You will might cancel the order on the route, and you might go to a mall, right? And then go for a shopping. Why? Because anyway, event is in the evening, and they are saying now they will give you tomorrow. So now this helps you to manage expectation that okay, fine, dude, Myntra could not deliver on time, or Amazon could not deliver on time, so I can take some alternative. Trust me, these are some real use cases which you, me, and everybody follows it. Okay. So analytics is all about, right, finding the last week to week cost, how much total I've spent, how much per truck I'm on an average spending, how much is on an average my truck utilization by different category of trucks. You know what? You also have different category of trucks like a big truck, van, small. We also call in India Chota Hathi, right? Have you seen that Ace, Tata Ace? It's called Chota Hathi. So different types of truck sizes have a big role to play because if you are supposed to go with let's say I give a scenario, I only have load for 50% of the truck, right? Why to give a big truck? Give a mid-sized truck, right? And still you will go close to FTL of this type of truck. Don't give a big size truck, give a mid-sized truck because you know that your utilization is just 50%. So all those decisions can be done because of these analytics dashboards. Let's talk about Gen AI. I am sure that you're using generative AI tools. Gen AI is generative AI. Okay. You will have some ideas around it. What is Gen AI? What is your understanding of generative AI? How many of you guys have ever tried asking something on ChatGPT or Gemini? You give a prompt, which is like prompt is just nothing. You're just writing something as a text and you get some returns out of it. Anybody has tried this? Let's see this in action. So let me take Gemini. Okay. I have switched to Chrome. Perfect. Let's say I ask a simple question that, what is the difference between, let's ask a similar question. What is the difference between LTL and FTL, right? I just discussed that. When I go and write something, then it takes something and then fatafat, right? It gives you a lot of things, right? Looks very impressive. It's like you have someone better than any instructor or trainer. You can just type in, rather than doing a Google search, right? It does this, okay? Google is Gemini. Google search is also Google. If I do the same thing here, now can you tell me what is the difference? You see some of these things coming when I do this search, and when Google Gemini does this, why it is different. So let me take screenshot, and you will love it. This, I always take this example whenever I teach this. So when I search for this, and I'll go little zoom out so that I can see more content on the screen. I'll take a screenshot, guys. Okay. So this is when I search on Google versus when I do the same question here. I have to ensure that I'm taking, obviously I'll not able to show everything here on one, but I get these two. Okay. So I'll keep it side by side so that we don't lose both the images in front of my, it will be tiny, but you don't need to read something. You already know what is LTL, FTL. There are two images being shown, guys, here. And tell me that you have not used it. I'll not believe it, even if you tell me. Have you guys used this kind of tools? I'm starting into this. I hope you like this example, right? It's very intuitive, no? Very simple. Any kid can understand that, oh, there are two ways to find the same answer. But then when you go and find answer on Google search, you actually, what it does, obviously Google search is a different approach. Google search will take your, these keywords and try to do a ranking of the pages on these keywords and then show you the ranking in the pages, top to bottom. So you can see that Google has generated so many pages have a mention of LTL versus FTL, isn't it? Google is just doing that, okay, in no time, almost like millisecond of it. Same thing it does, but here, Google Gemini, Google Chrome is like, more like a search engine. It uses, Google Chrome is like a browser, but a browser has a search engine, right? This google.com. And that search engine helps you to find what is the key difference. Don't worry about this. This is because, again, coming Gemini. So this part, that's why I'm not taking the screenshot. So here it is like earlier, my whole life, and everybody life has been getting into Google search, searching, open a link. Suppose I want to read about it, I have to click, it's open up this website, this exact blog. No summary, no content generation, right? This guy has written a blog on it, and the Google is supposed to show it, right? So Google is supposed to show it as the way it is, right? You cannot go and change. That's a website. You cannot go and change. And there are different websites. Maersk is a big logistics company. See, they have also written a nice blog. It's under the section of like explained, right? So see there, what is FTL, what is LTL, right? A nice diagram, okay? But when you go and do the same thing in Gemini, they give more like a nice summary, generate that summary for you in a typical structure. And you can see there were like a similar comparison of it, right? So, they say, what is LTL? Define it, how it works, cost, handling, speed. Again, a similar attributes comparison for FTL. And they're also giving these source they've used, right, to write this. See, the moment I hover on it, do you see that? Now it is getting better and better. Earlier it was not like the case. So if you hover, then this part of this stanza, they're taking from this source, right? You can Google it and see it. Now again, to do a nice quick comparison. Now
Yes.
to generate this, it looks very easy, right? But these guys, and that's where I leave you. How did Gemini know this much? Think about it. So obviously they have generated the content. Pushkar is telling hard way versus smart way. Hard way is like going through different pages, see which one has great information, great clarity of that concept, LTL versus FTL. Then finally you settle on one or two, and then you just summarize it. Here, that job, like a learner, like a person, they're already doing for you. But question is that how did Google know? So to understand it intuitively, you have to understand that what is the philosophy of, or what is the idea of any generative AI tool. Okay? That's where you will understand it. Nothing else can help here. So it cannot be at very high level, right? When you ask this question, what is the difference between LTL and FTL, right? It's not just the model, right? You have a, you give a prompt. So in our technical term, we call this like, query. It's not even a prompt, it's a query. I have a query, okay? And when you structure this query, it becomes a prompt. So, but when you give it this to GenAI or any tool, you give to Gemini, you give to ChatGPT, you give it to, Claude, anyone, everything will go through a series of steps. So let's go one by one. Shall we go into step by the understand in full detail, guys? That will be helpful. Abhinav, others? Because then you will get the idea of GenAI working without getting into building a GenAI tool. Yeah, thank you. I think I thought so. So what is the very first step? Someone mentioned that classification. It's called intent classification. It's very important that when you ask any query, it understands what is the intent of your question here. Okay. It should be when I'm asking a question in your head, you just think little slow-mo, in a slow motion, think in a low pace. You will also be doing the intent of my question, right? So what GenAI does, in our case Gemini, but GenAI, or maybe I'll use the word Gemini so that you still stick to this example. Gen AI tool Gemini first classifies the question. That's the very first steps. That's the very first step. Okay. First thing first, they classify the question and map it to, and this is a very standard template, map it to comparison. So it understands that dude is asking for a comparison. Seems like, right? LTL and FTL. Are you not asking for a comparison? Who can say that? Right? The question itself is telling that you're looking for a comparison. Even when you're doing the school, right? When someone is asking, can you tell me difference between A and B? It means comparison, man. There's nothing else. So map it to comparison. They have, a lot of training done. So they understand that difference between LT and FT would need to know more for their knowledge. Knowledge means education. Education means it's educational purpose. They're asking this question, right? Awareness, education. These things they are trying to find from this question itself. LT and FTL, then they find which domain they are asking for, because LTL can be anything in other domain, right? There are common acronyms and confusing acronyms, right? So domain mapping is also done, right? Behind the scene, it will be able to map the domain to logistics domain. So that, for example, LTL is another term in another domain, they don't get confused. And then they also give you ambiguity score, that how clear is your question. Now, some of the latest and greatest tool, they also ask to clarify question in case they are not getting it. So ambiguity score is low, means question is pretty much clear. That's the very first step of intent classification. So behind the scene, Gemini has done all these mappings. Okay. I'm not getting into how exactly they do it because that will be too technical. But functionally, that's what they have done. Now they will do the prompt engineering. You must have heard prompting, prompt engineering. Naresh is raising their hand. Okay, Naresh, you can go on mute. Hold on. Unmute all. Mute. Allow attendance to mute. Yeah. Now you can unmute yourself.
Sorry for this thing inconvenience. It was by mistake.
Oh, no, it's okay. So go on mute. Yeah. No
I was
problem.
actually giving a thumbs up.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I was just
Sorry
trying.
for that.
I realized that, why are you asking? Is there any questions? I think. No worries. Well, fine.
Yeah.
Step
Apologies,
two.
please.
Step two will be like, it's called internal IPT. It's called IPT. So it's a technical term in Gen AI side. It's called internal prompt template. Okay. So every model has certain templates designed for it. And they also design it as per the need. But obviously they have certain templates all trained behind the scene and they generate it. So behind the scene, BTS, Gemini likely inject. I'm saying likely because see guys, I have not built Gemini, right? So I'm sure that it's something similar. Okay. And this is what you would have seen it. So this is what I have done for your course. So I have this code written. See this. So in the code format, it looks like this. Explain the difference between LT and FTL. Okay. Simple analogy, clear section headers, bullet points, cost, speed, handling comparison, neutral, educational tone. See, it's more like you are giving Gemini behind the scenes certain instructions, simple plain English. Now, I'll go up and show you. Isn't it? The output matches this structure. No aggressive comparison, neutral tone. You're not biased to anything. Do you see this? Simple analogy, clear section headers. So in the output, when you see this, right, these headers, these bullet points are coming because someone has given as an instruction. So this is not magic. Please note that. This is not like, oh, magically someone is doing it. It's sheer work and experience of question answer, query handling. These guys have built this from the data on internet because a lot of people have written those blogs and it has been trained on billions of parameters. So it is clear that, oh, this is how you have to answer. So this is prompt engineering plus routing. Routing is like, how do you want to generate the content through which route? This is the route you wanted. You can also ask that, can you write an article on LTL? That will be a separate content generation. Then you are specified with the prompting. Okay. But this is what AI has, Gemini has done for us. Moving on to the next step. So once we have the template design, step 3 is like humanization. It's very important. It's called better and make the artificial text generation to a humanization of it. It's called analogy injection, also called humanization layer. So that it looks like that you're talking to a person, not like some robot. So what you do in humanization layer, that clarity, cognitive awareness, perceived intelligence, these are all related to our mind and brain, right? So if someone is saying in this example, I have to go back and I have to read for you here. See, somewhere I would have written that. You pay for the entire truck regardless of whether you fill it, right? You see this? You fill it halfway or to the brim. It means they're talking to you. This is the part of the content they have generated, right? So this has come from the humanization injection. So they make it more clear, more awareness content, not like some robotic content coming like a grammatically correct. They make it more personalized for you. That's the message I want to get. Good. So we do this. Why? Why we do this analogy in injection? It improves, comprehension. So you will be able to understand it better than just robotic text. Reduces cognitive load. And I would give one more pointer, increases perceived intelligence. And your content get better and better. Okay, fair enough. Then you will structure it like, and then finally you'll get a nice UI giving you that. So if I have to summarize, obviously I'll not be getting into a lot of detail. There will be a guy, we can say high level. You take the user query. The flow is very simple. What is the flow? Because I want to be mindful about my time. You get a user query. In this case, I ask a question. It goes into the next step, which is intent classifier. So the steps I'll capture just here high level. Then it goes into, I was saying that prompt template selector. So you select certain templates out of the design templates already there, dynamically designed. When you say means Gemini does for you, and then it goes to a given to LLM. It can be NLM. That's where LLM, your favorite LLM, comes here. It can be GPT. It can be Gemini. it can be cloud, all of these big shots. Then a response will be generated, like content is generated and also formatted. Okay, so it's ready for you to consume. See this? And the last step will be UI renderer. So guys, you saw that it is nicely, nicely done. Why? Because someone has done the UI. So the bold, the comma, the full stop, it looks very nicely written. So UI is going to do it for you. So this is how I would say that when you're generating any content using GPT or Claude or Gemini, that's your Gen AI, generative artificial intelligence. And now you must be thinking how Gen AI knew so much of information, because Gen AI tool, Gemini, GPT, these are trained on enormous prior knowledge, right? So all the industry blogs, public textbooks, training decks, Q&A forum, case studies, and years of training. So I think 2022 they started, and they keep improving or increasing the training horizon. The training has been so nicely done, and you get the right answer. I will ask you a simple question. What if the LTL and FTL information on the web is wrong? What if that information is not correct, buddy? Everybody, let's say hypothetically, I'm saying all the LTL, FTL information on the web, all the different sources is all wrong. I'm just saying that. You'll get a wrong answer on it. So whatever you will see here, because it is not like generative content is coming from some, no, like Google is saying, okay, let me tell you. There's no person telling you that, right? So training is, data itself is incorrect and not accurate, inaccurate. Your answer, the final answer will be also wrong. They will just give opposite. Okay. I was trying to explain is that Gen AI, Gen AI started reading so much of ton of data on the web. It's like a gigantic, humongous web crawler. Right? You must have heard about crawling the web, means reading the information from the web. So just like Google search, what are full difference truckload and whatever that question I had. Where is my Gemini? Yeah, here it is. What are this question I asked to Google? It hits the Google search engine and returns so many of web pages, right? What Gemini has done, they have been trained, right, on all this data consciously. But finally, Gemini summarizes this answer. So which is basically, I say, rapid synthesis of what is the Gen AI biggest use case. So what is the conclusion of this whole discussion I've been doing so far is that generative AI, Gen AI stands for generative AI. Generative AI acted like, or I will not use that word acted like, generative AI helped to do rapid synthesis, which is like taking the data, processing it, understanding it, of unstructured data. Every data on the web is unstructured. I hope everyone knows, right, what is unstructured data versus a structured data. If data is not in a tabular form, like a flat file, it's all unstructured. So for example, someone goes to the website and read about what is the difference between Gen AI, FTL versus LTL. It is all unstructured, right? Text data is unstructured. Keep that in your mind. So generative AI helped to do rapid synthesis of unstructured data. That's the first thing Gen AI did for 2-3 years and still doing. So now what is the implication of it? Now Gen AI can read so much of data and trained, and then helps you to do it, right? So for example, and that's what there are a lot of use cases coming. For instance, or logistics manager, suppose you are a logistics manager and you can make a use case, and this is for Abhinav was asking, right? What kind of use cases I can think of? Suppose a logistic manager receives the dispatch mail, correct? So if I'm getting a mail to dispatch a certain truck on certain time with this much of load, logistic manager doesn't need to go through certain mails like this, hundreds of mails every hour, to understand that something has happened to, let's say, port of entry in China, right? He can just use LLM based model to can quickly find what is going on, and the that tool can go through and crawl through all the mails and find is that something a reality happening, because he read one mail, but since he is doing a lot of business from that port of entry in China, he can quickly, find that how many such mails are mentioning the similar details about it. Like, look at the beauty of it. So now it will read and understand and draft a situation, right? Draft that situation into like a nice mail, and and they can go and take the next step. Isn't it brilliant? Think about it. So what GenAI did here? GenAI went through all your mails, opened those mails. It's natural language, whatever Chinese use Mandarin, written in Mandarin. The tool will understand the product, whatever the tool or code, bunch of code you write, it will understand everything written in that mail and try to find that, oh, is that something happening, that there is an issue happening at a port of entry in China? Is that real? Is that real? And what is the scale of that issue? Is it too big to handle from logistics side, or is it permanent? So it is a temporary situation. How much time we need to get out of it? All those things can be scrolled, crawled back into your one query. And that can become your answer to your bosses that, dude, this is happening. You can expect minimum 2 days of delay of every parcels, every boxes you are waiting for. Please go and manage your customer. Brilliant, right? Just imagine GenAI helped you to understand all this in no time. Correct? How much time you just saved? You have to read so many mails to understand something has happened, but you have to spend like what, minimum hours, and with every hour you are losing the time on your clock. That's where logistics guys can use these tools. I'm just have taken a baby example. Logistics has, like, at least I'm aware of a lot of use cases. So minimum, I would say 20-30 use cases of GenAI. This is just one of on my back of my head. Now this is your GenAI. GenAI, what is GenAI done for you? If you try to do a comparison in your head, GenAI just gone through this scenario and find the summary of the situation and draft a response for it. As simple as that. Although it is reactive, but you are able to get the productivity out of it, right? Rather than you going manually and doing it, just like you are doing on this Google search versus, in this example, my dear, rather than going on Google search and going through all these web pages, read fully and understand what this guy has done. This guy has crawl and gone through all those mails and give you a good summary of it, right? An intelligent summary, not like an idiot, right? Isn't it very helpful in today's time? That's where you will save time. Now to handle 50 mails, this example looks very easy. What if you are getting 100 mails every minute? Then what happens? Think about it. Then what happens? Suppose my flight is getting delayed because of some prior delays at some other airports, and Make My Trip has to respond to everybody. Make My Trip, everybody uses. It's a big app in India for travel. And rather than going through all these details manually, someone has dropped you a note or tracking from some other data, you can just use it like a Gen AI tool to do it for you. And you can respond like a broadcast the message to everybody, right? Because you already know that on certain routes, certain things have happened or certain flights are getting delayed. Now I know that people say, Akash, you already have flightradar.com. That's a very reliable website. I understand that data can be called through API calls. MakeMyTrip uses that to take care of what is the flight time and date. But what if I'm not talking about this just like, the arrival time of a flight? I'm talking about more sensitive and more close mailbox monitoring. Anything which is coming in mailboxes. Someone has to open and read, right, guys? Then go and talk to someone senior, then take some steps on it. Rather than doing that, you can let all those mails to pass through a mailer, which is your GenAI tool, and summarize everything. Not only it summarizes, it gives you a nice template design, like I was explaining the issue, what is the issue, what is the severity of the issue, what is the impact of the issue on your current scenario, how much time it will take, what are your next step, what if it does everything like in a one nice paragraph. Which one is easy? You think? Which one is easier? Going through mailboxes one by one, all those mails, going to the mailbox and open all the mails one by one, and then you do this, create a summary like a memo, and you write it, and then you draft it and send it to your bosses. Versus what I have just said. Obviously, data sensitivity, data security. Let's say everything is taken care of. Then what? GenAI comes like a nice savior here. So you have taken care of this logistic issue on a certain port of entry in no time because you have such a tool like this. That's where people are telling that a lot of people lose jobs. Now I'm coming back to that. A lot of people whose only job was to read a mail and summarize. Sorry to say, unfortunate to feel that it's true. It will happen. If someone is just doing an operational job where their only competency is English, reading a mail, drafting a nice summary of it, dude, your job is gone. I have read a lot of mails written by AI. It's very good. It's better than a nice, well-educated ICSE board English people. Trust me on that. The clarity of the mail, the positioning of messages, you can tweak it, you can fine-tune it. So why do you think that we need a person who is more like a English literature person who has done a nice English course, he understands the business? I think AI can draft a better mail. What are the domain I'm taking? I mean, I'm taking a domain agnostic example. Logistics runs on mails. Trust me, all those orders, logistics, shipment ID is tracked through mails only. So I hope you understand that. Now I'll go into the difference between AI and agentic AI, right? Gen AI and agentic AI. So I'm putting a nice divider. Generative versus agentic AI. So recently, a world famous movie came. It's called Durandar. Hamza Ali Ansari, an agent, right? At least this. Come on, guys. Let's talk about movie, right? Everyone has seen this movie, or majority of you have seen this movie, right? Don't say I don't watch movie. I'm not talking about movie. Agentic AI is all like Mr. Hamza Ali Ansari, right? One guy doing a lot of things on his own, isn't it? That's called agent. Okay, it's not very different. Like people say, oh, agentic AI is like totally different. No. So this comparison is very important because people might ask you. Now I'll take the same example, right? Agentic AI doesn't do like rapid synthesis of unstructured data, right? It tries to close that loop by transitioning to proactive execution. So what I'm saying, when this port of entry issue happened, right? Then these guys dropped your note, a mail, and then GenAI read the mail and gave you a response, right? Correct? Suppose there was a port congestion. Port congestion, in supply chain, port congestion is a big thing. I think we should take this example, right? Else you will not understand. So I should write else. What is port congestion? So when you say port of entry, port of exit, obviously I have done industry engineering. I am working supply chain, but I have not been like a man on the ground. So I have learned from the images, the videos, but on any damn port in the world, you cannot have infinite space, right? For train, for trucks, for trains, for trucks, for aeroplanes. One of my friends, he's in Airport Authority of India. Even air has also congestion. So people think I road, everybody understand traffic, but how can you say port also has a congestion? So port needs to, suppose I am a port, I need to, dock the ship, right? To docking the ship, I need space for it. Have you seen docking ship space? Let me show you. But since I'm taking this port example, I have to show you that. This word is called docking the ship, means more like dropping the anchor. Yeah, exactly. So this is how a nice image will show you. Yeah. You see this image? This is called docking the ship, right? And obviously there are a lot of technical terms on it. Yeah, nothing also. Correct. So those who are working like in logistics company like Maersk and all, they will know it. This is called docking a container ship. So you see there's a container on this ship. See my hovering cursor. These are containers, right? There's a whole lots of processes they follow to move container in and out. So now you tell me if I have already taken this position, someone other can come and do more. That's called port congestion. So I'll go back to my example because that example is very important. I hope you're also liking it to explain the difference between these two guys. So in GenAI, I decided to write because I thought you will forget. GenAI, what happens? A logistic manager, right? A logistic manager does not read 50 emails to understand a port, let's say port congestion impact, a port, any port issue. Let's say port issue. I don't want to say only congestion, it can be any damn thing. Any port issues impact as an LLM based model. LLM can summarize, in fact, LLM itself a model can summarize the situation and draft a response. This is your GenAI. What is Agentic AI? It is a little different. That's why that image will come handy. And draft a response, which you will send your bosses. That dude, something is going on. We need to be careful. So let me place it somewhere here. Now let's talk about what do we have? Let's talk about what is Agentic and how they're different. So tell me one thing, when you read a mail of something has already happened, then it's like proactive or reactive? This is reactive, already done, right? Agentic AI helps you to do things proactively. So Agentic AI does not wait. I'll start with this. For a prompt, okay? That I will give you a prompt to read mail. That's a prompt. You read a mail and summarize a draft for me, right? As it monitors, that's with the sensors and everything will come handy. As it monitors data streams such as port congestion, one of the issues because of port can go wrong. Port can have traffic, weather report. Let's say high tide is coming, you cannot dock your ship itself, right? And inventory levels also. Suppose your ship is there, but you don't have the inventory, right? It's an issue for you, right? At port. Suppose I need to load 100 containers, I just have 80. I'm waiting for another 20, it is still in transit. And it is, observing various data stream and it initiates actions. Obviously, these actions are based on some learning. Those are called on predefined goals, right? So now these goals can be anything, like, when you see the port congestion has already started, you start maneuvering some shipment. Some ships should go there, some should. How does the traffic guy manage the traffic? What if your inventory is not up to the mark? You already have a rule that, if you don't have certain inventory at certain, you don't maintain that inventory, then I will not be docking the ship for your load. I say, dude, come tomorrow, come in evening, right? So maintain service level and minimum inventory for is that 98%. So you don't have 98% of the inventory which need to be uploaded, which need to be boarded on the ship to maintain service level more than 98%, right? Since 98% is what it does decide. All the orders which are supposed to be moved to a ship, obviously in various containers, it's all done. It's already had that. So maintain service level more than 90% at the port, right? In the yard, the port dockyard area. If it is not done, then I'll not even allow you to board the, come to the dockyard area for, loading. I'll not let you load on me. So that will help you to handle the port congestion. So rather than waiting for a situation to come, Agentic AI can help you to proactively identify those issues little beforehand and start acting on it. So this is exactly the whole difference, right? One is proactive, one is reactive. Anybody in picture can say this is proactive. Agree? This is a proactive handling. Agent makes your life easy proactively. And that's the reason when you're trying to do anything as a use case in supply chain, agent does help you with a lot of information real time. Now, agents, when you say agentic AI needs a lot of infra. So agentic AI cannot. So that's why I'll give you some idea. So agentic AI is like Hamza Ali Ansari. Hamza Ali Ansari. How many of you guys have seen Durandar? I know you might be thinking Akash is like too much into movies. Yes, that's true. I watch a lot of movies. I don't know how many of you guys have seen my introduction carefully, but if you have seen it carefully, you will see something written here. What is this? It's a movie dialogue, by the way. How many of you guys recognize this dialogue? It's from a movie. It's very meaningful. That's why I'm using it. So it is from the movie Batman Begins. I'm a big fan of Batman. Okay. I think Batman Begins, right? That's the first movie of the Batman trilogy. How many of you guys seen this movie? So yeah, coming back to what I was doing, but Batman Begins 2005 time, this movie came, which I like the idea that doesn't matter who are you from inside, right? Whatever you are doing as an action, that will decide who are you. So yes, if you've seen the Durandar movie, what is the role of that agent? He has to kill. What's the character name? Rahman the cat. So his aim was to kill him, right? And he does it. He takes all those, find the minister's daughter. Obviously, I'm not trying to be a screenwriter and a screenplay doing, but he finds the gets in love interest, marries it, and try to plan, plot, and kill that Rahman the cat, because that's the agent main idea. That was the program uploaded into him, right? Isn't it? So why I'm taking this agent example, but that's exactly agent works, right? Agent, you will tell the objective and the approach, right? What are the do's and don'ts? And agent proactively keeps monitoring the situation. He does it. If you have seen the movie, I'm not promoting a movie, but if you have seen the movie, those will enjoy this discussion for 2 minutes. He sees that, he tries to prevent the attack on the Rahman Dakat's son, the eldest son, but he dies, right? He fails in that. If you have seen it, right, he puts all the blood from his clothes and put on him and create a scenario, right? Opportunity for getting into his gang. So that's exactly agent does. If you tell it, obviously not exactly follow like a if and else condition, then it becomes a program. Agentic AI works on some of those fundamentals, those rule book, but not like religiously follow everything every time. It might take some out of the way action, and it will ask you for approval, right? But autonomous loop is going to be the reason for agent to be used. So let the agent decide. Obviously, even human decides, you will make error. But agent, let them decide 95% of the things. Anything very critical, like big decisions, bring the human in the loop, which is your planner, which is your logistics manager, right? So if you understand, everybody is like an agent. Intellipaat has brought me like an agent because I'm your instructor. I'm here to teach you, right? I have some rule book, right? I cannot come and start teaching you demand forecasting and how can you become a national party in this country, right? That's not my role here, right? So I'm also following that rule. I know my end objective. I can decide what should be the use cases. That's freedom to me, right? So you can understand that everybody is playing that agent. Similarly, when I go and work at Accenture, I have certain commitments on a project. I deliver it, right? How will I deliver it? What should be my allocation of, like, who will be doing the data engineering? Who will be getting the data and transform into some meaningful insight? Who will be my data analyst? How they will use it? They will decide. Agents will decide. But who will do what, and what will be the orchestration, which is like all these guys working in a sync, in a tandem, and trying to get you the final end objective. If you have seen the movies, right? If you've seen that movie, everybody goes through that series of different action, right? Someone is supporting from outside, inside. He gets all the help he needs, and then finally he accomplishes the end objective, which is to kill this Raman Khan. I hope you like this example. So there are different agents in that, right? There was an agent whose only job was to give him early, support in making an identity and getting familiar with this Liari area, right? If you've seen the movie. So every agent has a role to play. Okay. You might be hearing a lot of time orchestrator. Orchestrator is like your main guy, right? He's like your boss, IB boss in that movie. So orchestrator is not an agent. Always remember that. Might have used the word orchestrator. Orchestrator is not an agent. Orchestrator is like your planning, logistics manager, operation manager. He's more like your guy. He's like in that movie Ajit Doval, right? So orchestrator is like your operation manager, your conductor. It's like everybody has different skills. That's all your agents. Planner, optimizer, analyst, data engineer, dashboard guy. And orchestrator is the more like a program manager, right? I don't know how many of you guys are aware of program management, but program manager job is only job is to ensure that all these guys are working in sync without fighting each other and making sure that every sprint is taken care of. Isn't it, guys? That's the role of a program manager. The whole program he manages, he looks at the risk, he mitigates the risk, and he gets the job done. So that's your orchestrator. I realize that maybe might not be knowing what is orchestrator. That's why I took a step back. Okay. Now I'll get into some use cases. So this use case in logistics is like designing logistics expedite agent logic flow. I feel that no supply chain is perfect, and getting a parcel late or delayed is a real thing, right? You have to always ensure that parcels reach on time, and trust me, there will be always a scenario that parcels never reach on time. Obviously, not all, some of them. So, what is the task here? Task is so this is a use case I'm talking in logistics, designing a expedite agent. So this agent job is to, but first I'll give the task. You have to design the logic flow. That's where your supply chain knowledge will come. Design the logic flow for an agent that autonomously. If you're not talking, please be on mute. Manages shipment delays. Everybody knows what is the shipment delay. Suppose I'm getting a parcel for Amazon, it's late. Then someone has to do something, right? It cannot be like, oh, God knows whether it will reach or not. I don't care. In business, yes, you care. You cannot say I don't care. So someone has to work on it. So idea is very simple. You must design an agent that handles a late shipment alert from the TMS. TMS is Transport Management System. So I'm giving you what's the challenge? What's the word? Is that must design an agent that handles a late shipment alert from the TMS. From the TMS. Guys, TMS is known as Transport Management System. Trust me, there are big companies implementing TMS charging millions of dollars. You must have heard about Beyonder, right? There are a lot of companies which implements TMS in supply chain. So this is the task. I'll not make everything bold. This is the task and this is the challenge. Okay, must design an agent that handles a late shipment from the alert from the TMS. So transportation guys keep monitoring, and they raise a TMS alert that, oh dude, your shipment is delayed, right? So what is the goal? What is the objective? Ensure on-time delivery, right? That's the whole goal, right? I don't want to miss the delivery time. Now, suppose the customer is Walmart. Let's take food. So since I'm more working for supply chain, let's say there is a Kroger, which is a food company, and they ship food items to Walmart. Walmart, just like DMart, they have Walmart in US. So Walmart in Texas. I take Texas as an example because I have been in that area. So you'll see this is called Walmart. It's a big hypermarket. Look at the size of parking they have. It's like so US you have a lot of land, right? So trust me. So Walmart is like a big giant hypermarket chain. Just like in India we have Mr. Radhakrishnan Damani, right? What's he famous for? DMart. So he has went to US and thank God he went to US and we have something. So one is near my home. Okay. So now Kroger is saying that I'll be shipping something to Walmart. and Walmart shipment is getting delayed, right? That's my goal, that I want to ensure shipment has to be on time. Okay, sounds like a good idea. Yeah, that's your goal, right? If the shipment is delayed, Walmart will fine you, man. It's not like they will just leave you. There are penalties. Are you aware of it? If you miss the on time, there's a penalty. Don't think that, oh, delayed. It's not India. In business, they are very serious. Constraint. I will give you a constraint that you have an expedite budget. This constraint is very important. Expedite budget is just $1,000 you can use, because my penalty is 1,000 is for shipment, as my penalty is 5,000. As the penalty is 5,000. So you cannot use like a big cargo aeroplane to move the shipment, right? Makes sense, no? Means if you spend like $20,000 or $30,000 to save penalty for 5,000, that doesn't make sense, right? Correct, guys. Come on, think about it. Logically. If I have to save money of penalty, which is 5,000, and I have spent 15,000, what's the whole point? That's my constraint. So every business works on constraint. Now, what are the tools available on your screen? It's a supply chain problem. So since I have no real life data here, because I'm not doing like a Walmart to Kroger movement, I hope you understand my constraint. It's a classroom. But in the inventory data, you can check inventory. So you have a tool, you can run a function, check inventory. You can get shipping quote. I'll explain everything. Get shipping quote. Quote, right? Quote is like how much you need where. Book freight. So what should I do? I should use priority shipment, priority pass, 1 day delivery, whatever, and email human. So these are tools. So inventory is like, do you have the items? Get shipping quote, like what you should put on that truck, which is getting delayed, right? Or all different trucks. Book freight or email human, like you can read all the email and you can book the truck. So these are the 4 tools you have available, which is enough to make a expedite shipment. Make sense? These are the tools you need. Now I'll give an idea of this, how this solution works. This is a reference solution. Why I'm calling this a reference solution? Because this is just one of the scenarios I'm running through your screen, on the screen. So it's a reference solution of logic flow. And see, this is how you have to design the Agentic AI framework. And then once you have, guys, you guys are more of like doing a management course. If you are able to crack this course and you have a Gen AI coder or technical guy with you, you can get this tool ready. Trust me, this is what you need here in this course. But I will make sure that Abhinav asked me to also give ideas how to learn and do it ourselves. If you're okay to take that technical load, I'm up for it, because I'm a technical guy. And I'm also the supply chain guy. So you are lucky. So trigger. So obviously I need to do the trigger, that event shipment delay 4 hours. And this is, you will see that my example is so real. So it's not like, see, TMS, the moment TMS feels that, it is delayed by a second, TMS will flag. Correct? Now think about it logically. TMS is a live system. It's like a flightradar.com. So the moment a shipment is getting delayed, buddy, it will say it is delayed even by a second, right? But a second delay is something to worry about. Think about it. No. A minute of delay is need to worry? No. 1 hour, maybe, but 4 hour concern. So that's why I'm saying a shipment delay, but 4 hours detected, then you are getting the trigger. Not like even half an hour. Agent thought. So you have to plan the thought for the agent, which is your analysis agent. You can say an analyst or something, you name it anything. So the agent will think, will this delay? And this is just one way of thinking. You can always tweak it and improvise it. Will this delay cause a missed customer promise date? This Walmart image is not. Okay. Yeah. So agent will analyze, he will think, will this delay cause a missed customer promise date? Means, is this something I'm missing on the promise date? Now 4 hours can land you to the next day. Depends on what time of the hour you're looking at, isn't it? Suppose my promise date is today. What is the time? 8:40, right? Now 4 hours of delay will take me to the 23rd of February. And I think they are at a very good night clock, right? 9 o'clock. 4 hours means 1 a.m. 1 a.m. means I'm in a new date as per our calendar, right, guys? So technically it is delayed shipment. So that's what it will think. Okay. So now what it will think of, okay, so what are the actions? Let's say it is answer is yes. What's the action I should take? So calculate new ETA and then compare to promise, right? That's the basic maths you have to do, compare to promise date. So just like I did this calculation in my head, I am the human, right? So I can do it right fast. But these guys also have to do, na? These are computer programs only. Don't think they're human. Guys, always remember any tools you are using from Agentic AI, Gen AI, LLM, all are like what? Codes. It's nothing. It's a code wrapper on the information you have. Nothing else. They're not humans. They don't have a brain, but they are mimicking that brain. That's called neural network, right? So it will calculate new ETA and then compare to the promised date, right? That's the action it will do, this agent. What is the decision this agent will take? If new ETA, right, is less than promised date, what will do? Nothing here, will do nothing. If it is less than the promised date, new ETA, do I need to worry? Right? Okay. If, so what is the decision? I need to be a little more structured here. Yeah, do nothing. If new ETA, the other scenario will be, maybe I can be a little smart here, Mr. Pushkar. Yeah, it's more than promised date. So if it is less than or equal to, more than or equal to promised date, means we are red code. Because guys, already you are seeing the delay is happened for 4 hours. So you have a valid log. You just want to compare. So then you will say proceed to the next action. What is the next action? So this is the analysis. So proceed means you will not stop here. The loop will continue, thinking you're like in a program. So now the next step comes is that agent thought. So now agent thought analysis is done. Now there will be another guy who will like a champion of expeditation. So analyst is already done his job. Think like there are two agents here. One agent is thought analysis analyst. The other guy is like a supply chain consultant. You're already saying, boss, see, I feel that this shipment is going to be delayed. Now take this and move it to the next step. So this guy say, I need to expedite, right? Boss knows that, oh, this is an issue. And start checking options, right? Options you have to check for. Now, the expedite is not like a magic wand, like a Harry Potter magic wand. You will start checking for options. There's nothing you can do without checking the options. What options you have, right? So action will come here again. That call get shipping quote. And it will ask for air freight. So earlier you were going with truck, right? You're already late. So now this guy is saying, I realized that I missed to mention that it was shipment must design. Yeah. Okay, check inventory. Yeah. So let's say this shipment which was delayed, it was mode is truck. Okay. It was going on a truck, but a priority truck, like a expensive one, not like a chindi one, right? Like a low cost. So this guy is checking the shipping code that for the same load, how much I have to pay for a air freight, right? Correct. It will go to the next step that, oh, I have a quote. He must have pulled out his, contract. A lot of things is being done in background. What are my air freight contract with DHL or FedEx? These guys are like big companies, right? So it's not like they'll call, airport, whatever airport it is, and call and then check. No, they already have contract. They have contracts in hand all the time for spot booking for the air freight. Now, agent thought, next step, what it will look? Evaluation. Action is done, evaluation will come. Evaluation is needed because I have a budget, right? I am not like King of England, right? Queen of England. So is the cost within the budget? right? That's what they will ask. If now decision will come, so decision again this depends that my if my quote is less than 1,000 autonomous action. So nobody will be asked, "Dude, shall I ask Peter? No. Call book freight. So you will call the book freight. Remember the other function I had? And these are all functions running in the background and send email that now it will coming through the aircraft. So this is the new tracking, whatever that general GAN and comes in. So now guys, you see that I'm using everything, right? So in this case, we did not need any inventory for now because we did not worry about inventory, but you see that all these have been used, right? Guys, get shipping quote, book freight, and I'm running a scenario. There can be multiple scenario. You can train your model like that. Now, another scenario will be quote is more than 1,000. Then what will happen? So I'll save something else here. If quote is more than 1,000, it's a big interview question. What is the role of human in the loop? Guys, I cannot leave everything to the agent, right? It's also called human handoff. Means now I will take my agent will say, dude, I'm handing over to you, and now you take decision on this. So this guy will say, call human, okay, which is the other human, which is the main guy, which is the boss here. Approval needed, sir. Because cost is coming to be 1,500. Sorry, 1,500. If the boss approves, you know the loop. So it doesn't, so this shipment will go delayed and he will just inform them. So what I'm trying to say with this tiny example and just one scenario, now we can build on top of it and everybody here, that with just this example, you have automated. Now you can think, Akash, then I can automate like using some automation tool, then how is it different from agentic AI? This is a very simple use case which I'm running through agents, right? Agent is not like some rocket science, right? Agent is also like they have the capability to read images, text, a lot of information on their own, and they can take some intelligent decision. Uh, if you're using UiPath automation and all, they are all fixed rule. They are like software codes running through the ifs and buts, but they can be a little smart and can suggest something out of the box. But here, since I put a very constrained rule, it will just follow that. The beauty here is that it will get the TMS alert from the mail, read it, take decision without any human intervention. You can also automate it using some other tool, but agent can do little more beyond it. So it depends on the use case. But if you're able to do this agent hands-on exercise, right, and try to build it and think on more and add more scenario to this logistics side, I think that's exactly what we are supposed to do. Okay.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat offers a professional certification program in supply chain management in collaboration with EICT IIT Guwahati. Through this course, you will master supply chain and procurement technologies and explore new age tools like Gen AI for autonomous supply chain. You will get access to 40 plus live sessions over 6 months, guided by top IIT faculties and industry experts. The course includes 10 plus industry projects and case studies, and a 2 days campus immersion at EICT IIT Guwahati, and an official certification from EICT IIT Guwahati to validate your expertise. This online program is designed to help you manage the end to end life cycle of supply chain and fast track your career growth with guaranteed placement assistance and 3 job interviews upon entering the placement pool. This could be a stepping stone to a high growth career in supply chain management. So check out the course page link given below in the description and take your first step towards becoming a supply chain expert.